Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's never a dull moment around here at Technical Alpha. We just managed to find out at the last possible second. Actually, wait, Jeff. I don't suppose by any chance, because I forgot, that we loaded up the profile on your interface, because I didn't, I forgot to, for the podcast.
All right, we'll check.
That's going to sound dramatically different. If you just go to open there.
Technical Alpha.
That's the one.
We're live now, bro.
All right, there we go. That's more like it. God. It's one of those days, but it seems to always be one of those days. Welcome to Snow Technical Alpha Podcast. It is Thursday. This is May the 23rd, I think?
May the 23rd.
May the 23rd, 2017. And for those of you watching live, we're back to 30 FPS. It's cinematic now. We forgot that for a few weeks to turn it back to 30 FPS when we were done with StarCraft casting because
the file
12
gigs long.
Was like 12 gigs for a podcast.
It's a whole lot of notes.
So it was a little too excessive. So we brought him back now. We brought him back to 30 FPS in the cinematic experience. Slightly more than cinematic. 6 FPS more than cinematic experience.
Yeah.
Which is good. But your eyes can't see any more than 30, so everyone should be fine. Yeah, we've got another beautiful pre-E3 lull week, but we just keep managing to find just enough. Thank God. I feel like Varys from Game of Thrones. Every week I go into my Discord. I have a few news websites and stuff, obviously, that I've used for years for my gaming stuff. But everyone has, like, those niche little websites in the corner of the internet that only, 5 people know about. And there's always something that comes out of those. And so I go on my Discord and I at everyone. I'm like, all right, what does everyone want to see podcast topics this week?
Yeah.
And then I like some random shit that I never saw on mine just pops up, and I'm like, oh yes, they're like my my little birds, as Varys would say.
Okay.
They go out and
I like it.
I'm the master of whispers, except we don't hold secrets around here. We just let them fly here at the podcast. But yeah, we got some decent stuff to talk about this week. But before we get that started, I'm going to finish this tweet, and while I do that, Mr. Black, how was your week?
It's been a good week. Been busy grinding out the stream, playing lots of Grand Theft Auto RP when I can get on the server. It's been going great. Stream's been doing phenomenally.
That's been tough. The server thing has been brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal, but you know what? I'm not the only one going through it. It's frustrating for sure, but at the end of the day, it's worth it when you do get on. It's a lot of fun. Stream's doing really well. Everybody's having it. You know what? I'm just loving streaming right now because of that game. So
that in and of itself makes maybe the struggle a little bit worth it.
Yes. Oh, it makes it hella worth. So, at the end of the day, the week was pretty good. I thought there was one thing that happened this week that was non-video game related in my life that I was trying to think of, and I can't think of it now. I mean, the only other thing would have been like Game of Thrones that we'll talk about.
No, we're also going to be talking about John Wick because we went to that.
That's right. That's what I was thinking of. We went and saw John Wick.
We did, so that's going to be coming up.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. So that was dope. We went. Adam and I went to go see John Wick at the end of the last podcast. So
yes,
when the podcast ended, the last Tim Hortons cup that I had besides this one did the same thing.
What the fuck happened here?
Just don't don't question it. Just go with it.
Why do I even have a top?
Dude,
why do I even have a top?
Dude, you got to show the camera that coffee cup.
This is not going to play to the RSS, but why do I even have a fucking top anymore?
Terrible.
Look at that beauty.
Terrible.
What a fucking beauty.
Gong show.
All right, well, this is going to be cold in about 5 minutes. Not bad. My week wasn't too terrible. Just prepping for Gabs is here. I think it's next Friday. Next Friday's the first, right? Because that's the day that we do our first bit of
World Vision stuff.
So she's here next Friday, and so I'm like in the throes of getting things ready for packing in the week that she's here.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like some stuff, for example, that she bought when she was here, like side tables and things that she wants me to try and sell or whatever on Kijiji, because obviously we're not going to pay.
No.
It make no sense.
No.
to pay to ship that shit.
Nah.
Like $5 million for a side table, not really worth it. So, just been setting that stuff up. I had my dining room table also that I put up and stuff like that because I'm not going to have the room for it when I move in with Ma and Pa again. And the dining room table is worth a shitload of money because I got it for a ridiculous deal when I moved into my original house.
Dope.
So I think I'm actually going to make about as much money on it as I bought it for.
That's the dream.
In the first place.
Dream.
And that's like it's 6 years old, so that's not bad. So things like that, I was selling. Oh my, the old T4i also that we used to use for Deer Lag TV and all that stuff.
Yep.
I still had that at the house. So
Okay, so you're selling that. Yeah, I sold mine like a month and a half ago. So I got $400, I think, for it.
My lip thinks it's going to hit something when I go to drink this.
It's not. It's going to fall into the cup.
It's just a chasm. There's nothing there. Yeah. So the body itself is probably worth. Well, I went and saw what is new. So used like it is probably like a $300 body to the camera. I didn't have the kit lens because I bought just the body because when we were doing those videos, I bought a separate lens specifically for those videos. And so that lens is also brand new, over $400. So with that, I have a waterproof carrying case and a bunch of other shit. So I'm hoping to pull down a G for it because it's like $1,500 worth of shit.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Might be tough here locally, but I know on eBay you'd sell it probably
pretty quick. There's a fair amount of photographers around here though, so it might be okay. If I lose a few on it, it's not the end of the world, but stuff like that. So I've just been going through that, and otherwise my week has been playing Hearthstone. I
saw you were. I think you were at level 11.
I was knocking on the door of 10. In fact, I got.
I was
to
surprised.
10.
I was like, "Damn," because you make your own decks, right?
Yeah, it's my own. It's my homebrew deck. And so like I got down there, and I walked from rank 15 to basically the door of 10 that day. Like I didn't. My deck. I use a Hearthstone deck tracker, and that was the first time that the tracker was tracking that specific deck that I was using. And until I got to rank 10, basically, so rank 11 plus 3 stars, and then you're just one more game and you're in type shit, where I got batted down about 5 or 6 times because it's the same like 3 cheese decks that were really hard for my deck specifically to beat. I had an 80% win rate.
Damn.
Going in. So my deck is fine until you hit, like, there's 2 or 3 decks that you really only start hitting once you hit rank 10 that are fucking wild. And really, like, the only way you beat it is if I have really fantastic draw and they get dog shit for at least the first 3 or 4
what you're
turns.
going through right now is what you go through in StarCraft, where, you'll play one certain type of build that'll do really well up until, say, Diamond.
Yes.
And then the Diamond players are just going, yeah, bro. That don't work. That don't work up in these streets.
No,
you're gonna have to make a. So what you're gonna have to do is you're probably gonna have to make another type of deck and try and make the deck that plays well against the bullshit that you deal with in that area.
The really tough. So the really big bastard one is Token Druid right now. Which I don't know. Like, you used to play Hearthstone a long time ago, and so
I just did a sponsored Hearthstone stream. I just played it like a few days ago.
So when Hearthstone was first in beta and I was first playing the ever living shit out of it, I played a lot of Druid, and there was a large chunk of time where the OTK Druid, the 1-turn kill Druid, was basically you just fill your board with shit, Savage Roar, and you won, and there was almost nothing anyone could do about it because there was so much control that Druid had. So ever since then, and so Blizzard eventually nerfed the fuck out of it, and then Druid was dog shit for a long time. And Blizzard still hasn't figured out a way, or the people doing Hearthstone balancing at this point, to give Druids access to token builds and not have it break the fucking game.
Yeah.
And so this recent version of Token Druid is actually about 10 times worse than that original version, in that you need about 5 or 6 complete greater than 2 damage board clears to survive it, or you just lose by default.
Now with the roar, it's the +3, right?
It's +3, but they also have.
Now, is it for 1 turn or indefinitely?
Oh, that's for 1 turn, but that's not what usually kills you. The problem is they can fill the board, and by fill a board I mean almost entirely fill the board on a single turn and buff everything to 2/2 or 3/3 by turn 3.
Well, then you're fucked.
And do that multiple times.
Yeah. So you need really good card draw.
And if they don't get it right away, they have a good amount of removal. Swipe is really powerful.
Buy time.
They have a lot of powerful taunts they have access to. They just buy time, and then you're fucked because you spend all your time trying to get through that.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, not impossible, but difficult. And Rogue is also really strong. In fact, the nerfs that are coming up right now in the game are almost exclusively Rogue cards. In fact, I don't know if there's anything that isn't a Rogue card right now getting nerfed for this next patch. So I could do it. I could break into 10. I'd probably have to borrow one of those decks. I don't think I can get in with a homebrew.
Okay.
Even if I made something specifically, it would be too difficult to get in. Not impossible, but something that I wouldn't want to spend 2 months trying to craft some shit.
Yeah, no.
I would
find
just
a deck
borrow
online.
a deck.
Yeah, but find a deck online.
But what am I
make that-
gaining? Because my deck, even if I got in to rank 10,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be winning
No.
more than like 30% of my games with that deck.
No.
So
It would be dope to see you climb it up to GM though, man. That'd be pretty fucking fire.
Well, here's what I've learned is that if me who's played Hearthstone like twice in the last year and I don't even remember fucking card names, can build a deck in like 3 hours and then walk to rank 10, 11, then if I just borrow one of these broken ass fucking decks, I'm 100% within like maybe 2 weeks going to get into those ranks. And so I don't actually take Hearthstone all that seriously unless you are one of like the top 10 fucking pro players. I don't think Hearthstone ladder means fucking dick because the game is inherently pretty busted and a lot of decks are easily abusable and not particularly difficult to play. That's actually my biggest gripe with Hearthstone net decking is that you can net deck in say Magic, but some of those decks you really have to know what the fuck you're doing.
Almost all of them.
But in Hearthstone, there aren't very many of those decks that are really, really strong that you actually have to play intelligently.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of steps to success using them.
Well, it's a casual card game, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's just that's just how Hearthstone's always been. It's there is a cap to the skill in Hearthstone, and the skill boils down to your knowledge of the game. So knowing what deck you're up against, what they could possibly come out with. And they're also going to play relatively standard because they have to play a certain way or they're going to lose.
Yeah.
So you can predict that, and then it really boils down to an RNG game. Who's going to draw at what time? That's when you get to the peak. Like that's when you
exactly.
That's when you know all the cards. You know what
then
you're
you're
up against.
playing poker because now you're playing percentage odds.
Yes, that's
right?
it. That's it. Yeah.
And the other thing is that I noticed is when I switched. So for the first part of my day before I got to rank 11, whatever 10. I was playing another deck that I made that was quite fun. That was a more like it was a fucking meme deck. It was what are the fucking Gul'dan, who is a fucking I'm having one of those days. Anyway, and I was coming up against very specific decks. Almost every single game. Then I switched to Hunter, and the type of people and decks I ran into were almost polar opposite. And other people have experienced this too, where it almost seems like depending on the deck that you're playing, you're going to get pitted up against, and I don't mean like necessarily the cards in your deck, but like the class that you're playing, you almost end up getting pitted against specific other decks. And so sometimes you can go to try and counter, and then you end up playing totally different decks, and then you're fucked again.
Yeah.
Or you're not fucked, but you're coming up against challenge. So it's weird. I don't know. Hearthstone's a weird one, but I've been enjoying my time with it. I had a pretty good time squeaking in, late night streams because life has just been like, start your stream at 11 o'clock at night and see how it goes. And you've been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But for different reasons. Different reasons.
Very different reasons.
But
I'd
all
like
the
to
same.
not do that, but hey, you know what?
Yes.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Warlock, thank you. My brain is completely falling apart.
So what is in the world of gaming news? What's going on?
Let me tell you. Remember last week? I don't even have to turn my phone on for the first one. Remember last week that was it last week or the week before? We talked about the Epic Game Store's first ever sale.
Yes.
And how they were covering the cost of the sale themselves. So that the developers didn't have to eat the cost, et cetera, et cetera. There wasn't a hell of a lot of downside. Unfortunately, it still kind of ate shit on the way down. And they made some. I know people think that we suck their dick, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to call them out when they fuck it up a little bit. And they totally fucked it up a little bit.
Great.
So step one was that they don't have a shopping cart, in that you can't add multiple things and buy them all in one bulk order.
All right, that's dumb.
Which is fucking stupid. And what scares me, not scares me, but makes me question some things is that we also talked about this in the past. They have their basically their roadmap for releases, and the cart is like in the 6-month category, which
Why?
is I have no fucking clue. It's really stupid. to say the least. The fact that you're trying to run a storefront's first ever sale
Yeah.
and not have a cart, I would have thought, and I didn't look into it, I should have, but I would have thought that they would have had their cart before they did their sale.
Yeah.
Which is like putting the cart before the horse.
Yes.
But
it's like going to the grocery store and buying groceries and be like, hey, you can't use a cart.
No.
What? Why?
You have to go to the shelf and then bring one back with you and bring it through and then go back in and get another one. So here's what makes that even more unfortunate is that in like a perfect storm here, when people tried to buy multiple games, which obviously people do when there's a sale on, and this was a pretty substantial sale, there were some pretty big discounts on some games people wanted. They as soon as you tried to buy more than your fifth game, it would block you from buying it because their anti-fraud was kicking in. So Epic trying to do due diligence to have anti-fraud so that people weren't, if they had stole your account and tried to run up a big old bill without a shopping cart, and every one of those counting as one transaction instead of multiple games being one transaction. It ended up fucking people over from buying more games during the sale.
Why wouldn't they make it so that, if you want to buy multiple games, then you have to have your 2FA enabled. That way, if you have 2FA enabled...
Well, they'd still need a shopping cart to do it all at once.
Yeah.
But if you have 2FA enabled, then
they should get rid of the fraud thing, where it's like, listen,
fraud.
You obviously know it's the owner.
Yeah.
Or there's a very high probability it's the owner.
So, people are trying to buy obviously a bunch of these games, and then they get an email, and it says, obviously we're blah 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 blah. You can't be buying this because this is an anti-fraud kick-in, whatever, and then it says contact support, and then they will, once they verify it's you,
then it's gone, and then you can
go
buy...
back in and buy whatever you want. And more headache than needs to be there. Crazy that a cart doesn't exist before you do a first major sale, but here we are, it happened. The other thing that unfortunately happened was that it seems that because the only thing I can come up with is that because Epic decided that they were going to be the ones covering the cost of the whole shebang, right, and not passing it on to the devs, that maybe they decided they didn't need to actually alert the developers or the publishers specifically about that they were putting their games on sale. This became, and I'll have to get my phone out for this one, a problem for a handful of games because they were games that haven't even come out yet. So they were giving $10 discount or whatever, or like a percentage discount on pre-release or pre-orders on games that they didn't talk to the publisher about doing that. And that's a problem because it devalues the game on like any other platform before the game ever comes out, which is fine if the publisher says go for it. But Epic thinking, we're going to eat the cost. That's the only thing I can come up with is that they thought to themselves, nobody's going to give a fuck because we're eating all the cost, and they fucked up. So what happened was the games that were in question here, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, Borderlands 3, and Oxygen not included, initially received $10 discounts, but the publishers, so for those games you have 2K, Cly, and Paradox, pulled the games from the store because they didn't agree to have this, and there was a devaluing situation. Also, what ended up happening here is that Hades, which is made by Supergiant Games, the people that made Bastion and Transistor, they were originally scheduled to increase the price of their game from, I think it was like $20 to $25 or something. This is also still in pre-order, like or pre-alpha or early access is actually the one I'm looking for here. And when the sale happened, that the price change happened at the same time. So like the percentage change didn't line up with what the game was originally listed as, and so it looked like Supergiant were trying to get an extra $5 out of everyone when that wasn't the case. And so that also fucked up, and then Supergiant had to clarify what was going on there. Epic had to clarify that was their bad and not Supergiant's, problem or whatever. Unfortunately, that part is actually something that happens on Steam quite frequently. That what happened to Supergiant with early access games, apparently, when it comes to Steam sales and whatnot, is that has happened a few times in the past. So for some reason, that seems to be a problem with early access games and these market fronts, is they can't seem to figure out price changes during sales. But here we are. So those were like the major points, is that they fucked up not telling the publishers, or at least some of the publishers.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't, if you're going to put somebody's game on sale,
Might
you should
notify
probably
them?
notify them. I mean, it's kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if they thought that were the games physically going on sale themselves, or was the sale more to do with the promotion that Epic Games is doing with the $10 off for the
So there's a combo, and this is still running, by the way. This shit's running until like June 13th. Like, this is a long ass sale. But there's a $10 thing related to the 2FA, and then there's actually just a flat out sale happening.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
They can't put games on sale without telling the publisher.
No.
You just can't do it.
No.
If it was the $10 off,
Well, I
if
think
it was
they can't
like
tell it if they own the keys to games that are already released games. I don't think it matters so much. But for games that haven't even come out yet that are on other platforms,
Yeah.
I think that is particularly a problem for the devaluing issue, because otherwise...
Well, you're also strong-arming. You're like, I know that Epic, it'd be really bad if they weren't exclusive to Epic, because these games are exclusive for a period of time, right?
Some of them are.
Some of them are.
Yes.
So the problem is if they're putting on a sale before, say, Steam gets it. Say for example, if Borderlands was on both Steam and Epic day one.
Yes.
That's not what it's going to be like.
No, the 6 months layover.
6 months layover. But imagine if they were both coming out at the same time. And then Epic goes, you know what? Fuck Steam. I'm going to discount Borderlands 3 to undercut Steam. We won't take the money off of Borderlands. We'll bite the bullet to get the customer on our platform.
Yeah.
That becomes some fucking shady stuff.
Well, of course.
Because then people are going, well, I can save $10, $5, whatever the bucks is, if I just go buy it on Epic's launcher opposed to Steam on day one.
That's
right?
not necessarily what's happening, though.
No,
that would be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not pretend that Epic isn't doing everything.
Of course they are. They want people
in their power to pull people into the platform.
Of course. That's what this is for.
I think what has become painfully obvious here is that Epic is showing that they are truly a game developer.
Yeah.
And they haven't hired people yet that really fucking know what the hell they're doing in terms of a storefront. They have a bunch of people making horrible mistakes. Another thing that happened earlier, I think in the last week or so, was that somebody requested of Epic, which was, legally their right to do so, to show them or send to them all the information that Epic had on them as a person, which you can do. I think, is that the Freedom of Information Act? I can't remember now. Anyway, Epic sends them the stuff, but in the same email says, so due to human error, we accidentally sent all your information to a third party as well, like another person, accidentally. But we contacted them and they told us that they deleted all their shit. Now, thankfully, and I mean thankfully, and this was out on Reddit, apparently the person that got sent the stuff contacted the other person specifically once they had it, and they sorted it out amongst themselves as well to clarify that, yes, indeed, they got rid of all of their information on their local hardware or whatever. But the fact that Epic's employee Epic employees, this is not the first time with information this shit has happened with the storefront. So I think Epic needs to take some of its money. If I were going to have a major criticism right now, which they're doing an awful good job of themselves right now, but is that they need to take some of this money that they're dumping so much into. Stop going and getting a little so far ahead of themselves here. I mean, a sale in the middle of fucking June isn't going to change anyone's life. But take some of that money and go out and hire people who actually know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
With the storefront. Maybe outsource your customer management software or suite to make sure that this shit doesn't fucking happen. Because there are already tools out there that exist that get rid of this thing, this human error. Because how in the fuck, all it tells me is that this guy got a ticket or whatever, requesting his information. He knows he has to do it, and then instead of it, the customer management software just having everything being within that one ticket where it only goes to and from the email.
Yeah,
that tells me that the person on the other end at Epic actually typed in this guy's email to send it back to him.
Yes.
Which is insane. Incredibly insane. So that's my major criticism here is that take some of your money, hire the people that know what the fuck they're doing so that you can avoid this stuff. Because people are already going to be upset at you for coming into the market and making them even think about the fact that they might want to at some point in their life use a platform that isn't Steam. People already hate that shit as it is.
Yeah.
Don't give them a reason like this
Yeah.
to legitimately.
I mean, Epic was doing
come
so
at
well
you.
too. I mean, they were taking it in stride. They were making the right moves. They had a lot of heat on them, but they just kept trucking. More and more developers jumping on board, and then they go and do this. I mean, goddamn, man.
And that's what I mean.
God damn.
If you just
Come on, Epic.
if you just do your hiring right,
Damn.
it's fucking wild. So I think internally right now, it's pretty fucking turbulent. I can only imagine what it's like internally at Epic trying to pivot a bunch of employees into and speed hiring people to try and fill this role as the Epic Game Store management. But it's a bit of a dumpster fire. The sale is still on. It's on until the 13th. Obviously, Epic is going to be discussing this with the publishers that pulled their games from the platform. I doubt that Epic went into this making those decisions to try and fuck
not
the
maliciously or
publishers.
anything. Yeah,
It's another rookie mistake because they have rookies running this shit right now.
Yep.
And that's just about it. So I suspect some people got fired. And it's probably going to continue until they hire some people that are a little bit more knowledgeable of the situation. So that was the first thing that happened off this week is Epic Game Store shit the bed in an unfortunate way during their first major sale. In completely unrelated and random news, but I wanted to throw it in here anyway, EA put up a little trailer on YouTube to show off their new hair physics rendering thing in Frostbite.
Okay.
If you have it there, you can. If you have the list there, I have a link for you. It's only a short time, but as soon as I see this, anytime I see hair in a video game, it was like when Tress Effects or whatever the fuck for Tomb Raider was a thing. All I can think of is Jeff Gerstmann years ago talked about how wrestling games push the boundaries for hair because like people like Triple H go out there and it's like flopping around and whatever the fuck and all I can think of was I need to see this hair on Triple H in the next WWE game before I know it's real. That's when I know we've made it. Hair in wrestling games dictates everyone else. And so if we can get the real deal,
Actually,
it looks good.
It looks pretty good.
It looks good. So we got to get that hair on
Especially
Triple H.
in certain lighting, it looks real fucking good.
Triple H circa 2003 because he's bald as fuck now. But get that back out there.
Somebody in the comment section said, "Now only need good games."
Got the hair down.
Got the hair down, bro.
Got the hair down, but now you need the games.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, no, it looked good. Looked good for sure. So that was the thing that happened. Activision made its way into the news as well. Always the arbiter of good news, Activision. Firing Sledgehammer Games, basically. So Sledgehammer Games was one of the holy trinity of developers that have been churning out Call of Duty games once every 48 hours for several years now. Sledgehammer was actually in charge of coming up with a Call of Duty game that was going to be releasing. I don't think it's the next, but the one after the next coming, because I think the next coming is 2020 by Treyarch. I think it's Black Ops 5 or some shit.
All right.
So Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch were the three. Sledgehammer, I think, was the last one brought into the fold, and theirs were always a little hit or miss anyway. Like the big one is always Treyarch, because that was or Infinity Ward, because they were the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Then when a bunch of people left Infinity Ward to make Respawn Entertainment, which is now the one who produced Apex etc. Treyarch kind of brought or took on the mantle as the mainline developers for the COD franchise. But as it turns out, Sledgehammer Games lost a bunch of their management here in the last year for one reason or another. And apparently they were pretty good, because as soon as they left, everything internally in the company fell apart. The project fell to shit, and apparently it's not even fucking playable right now. So they went in, they looked around, they said, all right, well, we need this game to be playable. And Sledgehammer said, sorry, we're all fucked. It's a shit show in here. It's a goat fuck, Admiral. And just and so Activision said, all right, well, unfortunately, that means that you're gone.
And you're gone.
So Activision now leaning hard into Treyarch for that game for 2020. And all the best to the folks at Sledgehammer for figuring out what the fuck you're going to do after churning out Call of Duty games.
I couldn't care any less about Call of Duty.
No, and so maybe Sledgehammer. Well, I don't know if that means the company or the developer's going to fold, or if they're going to be able to get bought up by somebody else and spin out into another game. Because it's not like they made terrible video games.
No.
And I'd be interested in what they were capable of doing if they weren't beholden, to making Call of Duty over and over again. Before I say, that you're really terrible because you can't make anything that isn't Call of Duty. But yeah, so unfortunate. But another one bites the dust. These major publishers that buy up these devs, it's just like a matter of time.
Yep.
It's like we're gonna chew you up. You're gonna give us a couple of games, and we're gonna spit you out. And whether you've been around for 10 years, 20 years, or more, it doesn't matter.
Bye-bye.
Your name is shit.
Yep.
Our name rules all. We're gonna find somebody else now.
Have fun.
PlayStation 5 news.
Woo!
A little bit more. We're getting more and more little tidbits as time goes on. I'm beginning to question whether or not we're going to see this thing at E3 or during E3 week. I don't know if we're actually going to see something.
I think we will. We have to.
They're just
We
talking,
have to.
Well, they're just talking so much about it that I don't know. Like, we know it's coming next year, but it's possible that they wait until next year before they show it off and say it's coming this fall, kind of deal. But they're talking an awful lot about it. And they really have been focusing a lot on the fact that they have an SSD in this console this time, and they've been showing demos of a PS4 Pro loading an area or a game, and then right next to it, the dev kit for PS5, and the dev kit's like sub 1 second, and PS4's like 9.
Yeah.
Which...
I mean,
whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yeah.
You're comparing a 5400 RPM fucking hard drive to a SSD.
Yeah.
What did you expect? Of course it's fast, and that's going to make people happy regardless. But my God, man, I mean, that's of course it is. It's just that's just silly. That's
yes, but to the casuals, Adam, they don't know any better. They're just seeing the speed, and they're like, oh, it's so much. It's
like, man, I just took my Toyota Corolla and traded it in for a Porsche fucking GT2.
It's faster.
As it turns out, it's a faster car. Who would have fucking thought?
Duh.
So that's they've been really pushing that. But it looks like they're trying to track, or they've been talking about doing something similar to Microsoft. So Microsoft's been buying up, as we talked about over the podcast, like the last 9 months or more now, where they've been buying up like smaller studios and stuff to try and bolster their first party development. Because one of the major criticisms of Microsoft,
they got no exclusives.
They've got no exclusives internal. So they went out of the way to start doing that, and it looks like PlayStation, even though they already have a fairly solid lineup of first-party stuff, I think they know that Naughty Dog is running its course. They're only going to get so much at a Naughty Dog now, in terms of the intellectual property from Naughty Dog that people actually give a fuck about as to this point.
Yeah.
So that's
Last of Us.
The Last of Us, thank you. My brain wanted The Walking Dead, same thing.
Pretty damn close.
It's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
So The Last of Us,
It's a rated R Walking Dead.
they're already done with Uncharted.
Yep.
So, it's not that I don't think anyone's going to think, oh, well, Naughty Dog's never going to produce a good game again. But to Sony, they know that it's whatever the next franchise that they have coming out of Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
It's going to be a gamble, because it's always a gamble, no matter how good the developer is.
Of course.
So they need to find something, and bolster things. So they're looking to make some, what they describe as some acquisitions and some organic growth, to make this happen. So they're looking to do something similar to what Microsoft's doing, which is great, because what that tells you is that for people who were freaking out when we talked about Sony and Microsoft having a partnership for the cloud services, the Azure cloud servers, and other things between the two companies, people were freaking out that all of a sudden they were going to have like no competition between the consoles. Obviously, that's not the case.
No,
they're still going to compete with one another.
Of course,
it's still good for the industry to have that competition. And their philosophies for the gaming consoles are so wildly fucking different that it's not like that's just going to evaporate in one day.
No.
So that's good. It means that Sony's still out there trying to look out for themselves. And then other than that, it's they're talking a lot about the backwards compatibility aspect of the PlayStation 5. So, in terms of, at the very least, playing PlayStation 4 games, for example.
Yeah.
And they're saying that I think the way they worded it was it's a critical success component or something like that. So they're really focusing hard to make sure that PlayStation 4 games run as good or better on the PS5. Obviously, the load times are going to be better by default, but just in general, run at better resolutions, etc., etc. But then also allow for multiplayer between PS4, PS5 people. Make sure everything's smooth so that people can still play. Like, say, if their friends still only have a PS4 or PS4 Pro and they've moved on to a PS5, they're not leaving their friends in the dust. So things of that nature. So they talked a lot about that and have continued to push that as a narrative.
Now, is that going to be, are they doing that because when they come out with the PS5 games, are they going to be pushing the fact that you can play the PS5 game on the PS4?
Well, that
Because
I don't know how much they talked about it. It's possible they have, and I just haven't seen it. But I haven't seen them talk a lot about how many games. Like, there's always between console generations. There's always a handful of titles in a period of time that bridge a gap, right? That are on both.
Yeah.
But how long that goes on?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Like this, because I don't think this PS5 is like an Xbox One X scenario.
Yeah.
Where the Xbox One X is just a really big dick swing in Xbox One.
Yeah.
This is like a new
It's
console.
a new console.
So, new architecture inside, the whole 9 yards. So, I don't think it's going to be like the Xbox One X, which means that it's not going to be like that forever. If the game exists on both PS4 and and it's playable on the PS5, it's only because of backwards compatibility. I don't think we're going to forever have games coming out for PS5
That's good.
that also come out on the PS4.
Yeah.
Because that would just hamstring the fuck.
Yes.
Like, developers are going to be developing for...
Yes, yeah.
That's
Both.
too much.
Yeah.
That's way too much,
Yeah.
right? So that's great. I mean, and it's nice to see this, but it also is... It almost annoys me a little bit. I guess I'm a little salty about it because we went through kind of almost two generations where we went through almost two generations where backwards compatibility was like everyone was like, no, it's not important. Consumers just don't want the shit.
Yeah.
And Sony was like at the forefront of fuck that. PS3 came out, the PS3 fat for like the first 6 months, and then they stopped that SKU immediately. Yeah, you still got one.
Somebody was selling one here locally for $140. I was highly considering trying to get it for $100 and just
flip
have a
it.
second one. I was just gonna keep it here.
Oh, just in
'Cause if
case that
thing
one dies,
right?
Yeah,
Because the fats are known to go too, right?
Oh, of course. So when they did that, and then everyone went, oh, excuse me? And so to have them do a 180 and be like, oh, yeah, it's a critical success component for our business. I'm just like, you know why it's a critical success component? Because Microsoft's doing the shit.
Yep.
That's why it's a critical success
Microsoft
component.
wasn't doing it.
You ain't doing that
You ain't touching
at
it.
all. You don't give a fuck.
Zero fucks given. Buy
So-
the PS4 if you want to play PS4.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You guys have phones, don't you? You guys have PS4s, don't you? So that's all. That's most of what we heard about from the PlayStation 5 news. We are what, 3 weeks away from E3 now.
We're getting close.
So it's approaching, and
We're
I
getting
suspect
close.
we're going to be getting some bombs. At least I hope we're getting some bombs, because if they're talking this much about it now, I'm trying to figure out what they're going to drop. Maybe they're going to do they announce a price this far out, or do they wait until next year to announce a price?
Could you imagine how dope it would be if they're like, guys, the PS5, it's coming in November.
Yeah.
I'd go.
Well, remember,
Just straight-
remember. I said there, like I said my two options are it either comes out 2020, or Microsoft announced that they're thinking about doing 2020, and PlayStation jumps the gun,
bro,
and does a 2019.
That would be
release.
nuts, bro. If PlayStation come out, drops their dick on the table and says it's coming out in November.
Well, here's the thing.
Pre-order now. I'd go, I'd I'd be pre-ordering the shit right now, bro. If you would,
So here's the thing.
be the killer.
The only thing I can think of right now that would stop that from happening is we already know it's using AMD hardware, right?
Yeah.
And it's using modified Zen 2, I think, and Navi, which is their graphics hardware, modified version of that. The only thing I can think of is that those two things haven't really hit the consumer side yet. Is that they don't have the production to do a pre-run of the consoles because that hardware at the consumer level is not even out yet.
Yeah.
So it might take the year to ramp that up to get to that point. Otherwise, that shit already exists. That's already here. It just hasn't hit us. It's going to be hitting us in the summertime.
Well, what? How do you know? There's a chance that Sony might have this worked out with
Jim
AMD.
Carrey. So you're saying
Bro,
there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance. Could you imagine, bro? Could you imagine? Because it's not impossible. It's really not impossible.
It's not impossible. It's improbable.
It's
but
improbable,
it's
but it's not impossible.
No.
So, like, hypothetically speaking,
It could happen.
it could fucking happen. And if it does happen, bro, and Xbox ain't coming out till 2020,
This coffee's cold.
whoo, this shit would be crazy.
Yes.
I would be nuts. Like, just when Xbox is, like, getting their feet on the ground again and, like, people are over, like, the shitstorm that Xbox...
Sony comes in and
Sony
sweeps
comes
the
out
leg.
and just straight up sucker punches Sony in the teeth. That would be nuts. Nuts.
Yeah. That'd be crazy, dude.
Dude.
And that's what
I shit you not, bro. If they say that shit and they say pre-orders are available right now, for the first time in forever, I'm gonna pre-order a fucking console.
Just for the move.
Just
for the move.
Just to. I don't even care the price. If they come out to like, yo, it's $7.99 US. I'm pre-ordering.
Fuck it.
I'm pre-ordering.
What?
Give me an extra controller.
That's the other thing. We
don't
talked
care.
about the price, what we thought the price was going to be in the past, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking with the SSD, I'm thinking in like NVMe terms, but they're obviously going to be using like a 2.5-inch SSD, which is way cheaper, especially on their end than consumer end. But there have been a lot of articles saying that they can't make the same mistake that they did with the PS3, where the PS3 came out like $100 more than the Xbox was.
It was rough.
And it was a rough go for them.
Yeah, it was rough.
Now, I think a lot of that was just because people didn't appreciate the value of the Blu-ray player being in the console. If that came out after people had a bit more of an understanding,
Yeah.
of
And Blu-ray
that,
back then was expensive.
well, it was brand new
to buy
basically.
a Blu-ray player, it was a couple $100.
Yeah, it was like
even on
$250.
even on a shitty, like we're talking a shitty Blu-ray player, it takes like 40 seconds to load a goddamn disc.
Exactly. So to have the best at the time, it was the best Blu-ray
for
player
years.
Yeah,
Not even
time.
a short time.
So people didn't quite have that, and
Yeah.
so the value proposition was tough for
Yeah.
them to push.
Yeah.
And of course, it basically has like a PS2 emulator on chip
Yes.
hardware.
Yes.
And so it was expensive. They had to recoup that, and they were still losing money on that
Bro,
when
the
they launched it.
PS3, dude, the value in that console
There's a substantial amount of value.
It's absolutely that one right there. There is so much value in this damn system. It's ridiculous. If y'all don't have a fat PS3, the 60 gig motherfucker that plays cross compatible stuff, find one. Just have it. Just have it at your house.
Sell it later and give your child a free education.
Straight up, dude. Because in like 10 years, man, like so many of them are dead. Like, it's just great. Anyway.
It was confirmed in a stock holding call that it will not be this year. Speculation fucked.
Come on, you just ruined my goddamn fun. Now I don't care about E3.
You never know.
You never know. They could be lying.
Hold on to
They could be lying, right? Because if they
to it.
knew that information, insider information, I'd be buying up stocks and
plays.
motherfucking, I'd be buying up some Sony stocks and be like, let's go.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see how much we find out when the time comes here in the next few weeks as to how much more new information we're going to get. But yeah, I still think it's likely to be like I still think I'll be mind fucked if that comes out.
It's going to be Christmas 2020
for less than $5.99 US.
Oh, $5.99.
Like people want it to be $3.99 or $4.99.
No. There could be a $4.99 version.
I think
bare bones, like just a console controller.
Because I think $4.99
is like it's a shoe-in. You know, if people wanted it, $4.99 is getting the for sure sale. $5.99, it's like it really all depends on what Xbox, especially if they're coming out around the same time.
But you price skim like everyone else in fucking history. Like, you know that up front it's going to cost you more money because the processes haven't been put in place for you to mass produce it, to keep up with demand. So you increase the price, and then you fucking lower the price of some fucking... You go to Economics 101 and people come out thinking that
they're ahead.
They're fucking Warren Buffett when they take the class. But, I mean, that's basically all it is, right?
Yeah.
And so and that's fine because there are always people that want to be first in line. They want to own it. They don't care that they're paying the price premium. They like to have something on day one.
It's like me.
Exactly.
I want that shit. I don't care what the goddamn. Give me I want it at my house. I want to take the picture, put it on Instagram.
Yes.
And I want the world to know I got the new motherfucking Sony.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's all you need.
And you know what? A lot of gamers fall in that category. Straight up. More than what people think.
Oh yeah,
people, dude. Tons of people buy the PS a new console and they can't afford it. Literally, they're like, fuck. Rent's due,
dude.
I can't afford it, but I'm gonna go and buy this motherfucker. The credit card. I need to call up and get an increase on this credit card right now because I need that shit in my life.
Did we forget what happened with the Wii U or the Wii, I should say, and then the Switch?
Yes,
where like they couldn't keep up with demand ever, and it would go to eBay and people were paying 3 times the cost of the console.
Fucking madness, bro. Madness. The Switch was the worst.
People out there like $5.99 will kill the console. No, it won't.
No,
definitely won't.
No, $5.99. It'll be fine at $5.99. $4.99 would be like.
Oh, they won't actually be able to keep up with it.
Yeah,
they'll sell out in like 24 hours, which sometimes they like to do because then it makes it look like the demand is so huge, and so it's obviously a successful console. But we'll see what happens. Next up on our list is WoW Classic, which is set to take over Twitch here as soon as that's out. I'm calling it right now, dude. There's at least a month where that shit is number one on that fucking website.
And you know what? It's gonna be for 1 month, and then it's gone. And then it's gone.
But I think about World of Warcraft as it stands is never that far down the list anyway. Like,
no, it does okay.
It's like it hovers around 10.
It's definitely top 10.
It's a top 10 game.
It's probably between 7 and 10.
So I think we'll have an extended period of time where WoW Classic, which is in the same category, it's just going to push it up into probably the top 3, top 5 for quite some period of time.
Yep.
I mean, but it's absolutely insane. Now, the funny thing is that there are a number of people who have signed up to get onto this that weren't actually there for the beginning of WoW. And so they aren't 100% aware of what the original vanilla WoW experience was. I remember I played the beta, and then I played on some private servers for a while before I checked out of WoW. And so I kind of remember what that game was like, and it was time demanding.
It's RuneScape.
And the amount of grind to get anything done.
It's RuneScape.
Is insane. There's no quality of life improvements in vanilla WoW.
No, they did what they did with Brood War. And people go, dude, this is what it is. I'm calling it out. It's going to be massive when it first comes out because
Asmongold Gold is masturbating right now.
Oh, just all over the place. So basically, this is what's going to happen.
Just walking around the house.
Just
nonstop.
The game's going to come out. There's going to be some streamers that are going to make a fucking goddamn killing. Right?
Oh man,
they're gonna
soda popping and Asmongold.
Those guys are just gonna be. They're gonna make more in 1 month than what they usually make in a year. And trust me, that ain't no small amount.
No.
So that's great, and it's gonna be entertaining for people. But this is what's gonna happen, bro, because this is what Blizzard does, and even more so for WoW. All right, and I haven't played WoW Classic, so I don't really know, but I can pretty much guarantee that this is probably what's gonna happen. I give it 3 weeks to a month in the spotlight. Okay. People are going to play it. They're going to grind it out.
Yep.
They're going to max out their levels, whatever they can do, or get pretty damn close to it.
You ain't sleeping to get 3 weeks.
Trust me, there'll be no sleeping. Dude, there'll be nobody's sleeping. We're talking about this
Adderall and cocaine.
This is going to be the degenerate of degenerates for World of Warcraft. They're going to play this shit religiously.
Somebody's going to shave like a playoff beard. You shave, and then you don't shave until your max level. 3 weeks later, it's just like fucking Gandalf beard.
That's what it's going to be. And it's going to be gray. So like the game's going to come out. People are going to play it. for nostalgia. Blizzard's going to make a bunch of money, especially World of Warcraft right now, because most people are like just kind of bored. An expansion comes out, they get the levels, and they're bored again. So this is going to be a great way for people to restart like new characters, go back to the old,
Dude,
the way things are. The nostalgia play is huge. So they're going to get on, but then they're going to realize how shitty of an experience WoW Classic was, and how used to the like new WoW and how much easier it is to play mechanically, the way shit just is set up, the way shit works, the grinding, everything. And it'll be fun at the start, and then it'll get monotonous. You're gonna be like, why am I grinding? This is fucking pointless. Now I'm taking away time from my regular tune that I'm playing, or tunes that I'm playing. And it's gonna get boring. And then as the streamers start to tamper off it and going back to whatever they're fucking, because it'll get old. Trust me. There'll be a couple of streamers that'll ride this motherfucker out until the end of sunset.
Well, the people that continue playing it are the people that were actually hardcore involved in vanilla WoW.
Yes.
I think a lot of people that will fall off are the people that came in like
but the
in the
vast
first
majority
expansion.
of people that are going to buy this are probably WoW players that play WoW as it is now, or have been for the last 10, 15,
so that's what I'm saying.
10,
So the people that stick around will be the people that that understand what they're getting themselves into.
Exactly.
But they're a shitload of players.
There's I mean,
you're not prepared.
No. It's gonna
prepared.
it's gonna be huge. But I really truly believe that after a month, it's gonna die down, man. It's gonna die down huge. People are gonna go back, and that'll be the show. But I could be wrong. I mean, this could be like the new version of WoW. That's the next big thing.
There's a possibility that vanilla WoW reminds people why they liked MMOs to begin with, and a lot of people when they originally played MMOs was that the grind was heavy to say the least, but the rewards you got for your grind were always so much better than what you're getting now.
Of course.
And so the to steal a little bit of EA here, or Activision, I think it was EA that said like the feeling of pride and accomplishment was actually a feeling of pride and accomplishment when you nailed something.
Dude, I did it in
much.
RuneScape.
Yes,
I literally grind 2 weeks to go up one level.
Yeah,
and you're like, yes.
Well, you get in WoW. It's grinding to get a super rare drop. You're doing raids to grind the boss, a raid boss to get a super rare drop. And everyone's fucking clapping when you get it. Everyone's super excited for you. I got these fucking, Macy's shoulder pads that make me look like a football player, and they're, they got the most dope stats in the world, and everyone was happy about it. I think the original level that you needed to grind to get like your mount was like level 40 or some shit, and you needed a shitload of gold to pull it off, and so it meant something when you got your mount. So it felt like you had accomplished that thing. Yes. And so there are a lot of downsides to that original formula of MMOs for sure. There's no two ways around it. It's not as
casual friendly because and people, let's be real. There's been a lot of brainwashing and a lot of hand holding over the last 10, 15 years. So the people that are going to go back to this, I truly believe this, the people that are going to go back, most certainly the people that play WoW now and never played Classic, they're going to hate Classic. The vast majority of them are going to hate it. Some of them might go, wow, I love this. Vast majority are going to hate it. I also believe that the vast majority of people that play WoW Classic are also going to really enjoy it at the beginning, and then they're going to end up hating it. And then there's going to be a little slice of the pie where people are going to be like, this, Blizzard has answered my question, answered my prayers. This is what I've been waiting for. I can't stand this this version of WoW that they've been giving us forever. They finally came back. This is amazing. And those people are going to be the ones that are going to grind that shit out, that are going to play it. There'll be a community for them. It'll be great for them, and everything will be
perfect.
It'll be perfect.
Yes.
But I think for the big majority, it's gonna be drop like, off. After a month, I am done skiing.
So what I'm hoping that we get out of this is that for those kind of like core aspects of what MMOs originally were all about, that for when we get the next MMO, because it's got to happen eventually. And when I say that, I don't mean the next fucking Korean MMO, or the next, WoW clone or whatever. Yeah. When we get the next generation of MMO to come out, that we learn more from the original variants of the genre than we do where we are now, because I think a lot of people that were originally into MMOs are turned off by most of what MMOs have become now. Is that there's no real payoff.
Yeah.
You can get to anything too quickly. Everything's way too exploitable. The things that the games focus on are don't give you any kind of feeling of accomplishment when you're done them. It's a very
Dude,
much
I'm gonna be honest.
a superficial.
I'm gonna make a
version of
bold
MMOs.
statement. I actually don't think that there's a big market for MMOs anymore. I truly.
Well, I don't think that's a bold statement. Well, I don't think it's a bold statement.
I mean, because there are people that play and love MMOs, but for several years, I mean, we're talking like a solid 5 years now.
Yeah.
There has been no real MMOs that have come out and taken the gaming world by force, and there's nobody that's crying for new MMOs.
That's because the MMOs that keep coming out are the exact same MMO that we've now had for a decade or more.
But I feel like the fact that it's been like that for so long that even if a good one comes out, that it's going to get overlooked or it's not going to even be given. It's not even to be given a try, simply because it's just not what people want these days. It's like gaming is evolving or devolving, however you want to look at it. It's changed.
Well, I think there's always a really sizable market for MMOs, always, because it is a genre that other genres don't get to borrow too much from at the end of the day. So is it as big as like a fucking Fortnite?
No, of course not.
Not.
Of course not.
But like, can it make you money as a developer? Yes.
Yeah, of
otherwise,
course.
they wouldn't keep churning the shit out.
Yeah.
MMOs are
But I
bigger.
feel like WoW's the only one that can be turning these out because because MMOs are so small now in comparison to what they were. Blizzard's the only juggernaut that has the property. Them and Jagex for RuneScape. Those are literally the only, like, you even look at something like Guild Wars. Guild Wars exists, and I'm sure they make good money in doing what they do because they're still doing the thing. But in terms of Twitch, or in terms of like visibility, it's a non-existent MMO, right?
Well,
I'm not saying it can't be good in China and it can't do big numbers via a phone or whatever, but I'm talking about, the people that what we see, right, in our world.
Well, on Twitch, MMOs mean dick to everyone because MMOs are boring as fuck to watch. Like that's just it. The people that watch WoW are the people that also play WoW. That's all. That's all you get there. There are a lot of people that will watch other streamers play other games that they will never fucking touch. People don't go and like, you know what? I want to watch somebody fucking grind mats for like the next 9 hours.
Tell RuneScape that.
Well, yeah, but the number of people is not fucking substantial. The fact of the matter is MMOs are way bigger outside of the West.
Yes.
You know, like the Asian countries are
of course
way more into that shit.
Also, way more people.
Yes.
It's just a numbers game, right?
Yeah, well, it's a numbers game, but like proportionately speaking.
But you could also say that really about any genre. MOBAs, shooters, MMOs, they're all bigger in China. All of them.
No, I don't mean just China, because China is almost impossible to break into now.
Well, the Asian market, market in general, it's all. Every game is bigger.
Well, Korea is a lot smaller than the U.S., or not a lot smaller, but it's not like it triples the size of the U.S. I mean, population there might as well be the same.
Yeah.
And Japan, same idea there. In your Southeast Asian markets and shit. It's those are just the types of games that are popular there. You try and break in with a first-person shooter, no, we give a fuck.
No.
Yeah, there's one that's really popular in Korea that I can't think of the name of off the top of my head. That I don't know.
Probably the closest thing you got is like Counter-Strike.
They got
right?
dethroned. That got dethroned by Overwatch, possibly, or Overwatch might still be second to it. But in general, that's just what's popular over there. And yes, because they have so many people, if over there, if the demographic in terms of the percentage of people that breakdown of what genres are popular in any given region, if MMOs are a particularly popular genre that also coincidentally are in a place that have way more people than the West.
Yeah.
Then yes, that becomes an important distinction. It's like if in the West 20% of the gaming population is interested in MMOs, and there's 500 million people, but in Asia, 45% of people are interested in MMOs, and there's a billion people, then yeah, that's a bit of a more important play there. And there's always going to be factors in that drive the MMO market. And right now, that's why I think you end up seeing a lot of the same shit, is that in the Asian market, grind, like boring grind, what we would consider boring grind, is what's popular for gameplay over there. You got Black Desert and all these like major Korean MMOs that are literally go in and like in RuneScape, for example,
well,
it's
their culture.
You grind it.
The culture's different there. It's just how it is. You know, the North American folks are just programmed differently.
So my hope is that if WoW Classic comes out and it does particularly well, that at the very least some of what made MMOs particularly attractive to all those people years ago gets adopted for whatever comes next, because MMOs aren't going anywhere.
No,
definitely not going anywhere.
I just don't know how many we're going to see in the future or in the near future.
I think the next whatever comes out of what we're seeing right now is that there's a weird stopgap between what would be considered a traditional MMO and what is just breaking into the MMO space. For example, Star Citizen.
Yeah.
If that game ever comes out, that's technically an MMO. So even though it's not particularly labeled as such, nor does it wear
that game dies anyway. It comes out, nobody's buying that shit.
Well, if it comes out, a lot of people are buying that shit, bro.
I beg to differ.
If that game legitimately launches in its entirety,
no, it's not. But that's not going to happen.
If that does happen, I'm gonna tell you right now, it just won't. That game's gonna sell like fucking hotcakes.
Well, but it just won't. Like, because they're nowhere near. They're nowhere even in the realm of possibility. So that's just not going to happen. What's going to happen is if they're going to come out, they're going to come out with a very minimal version of what they promised, with the promise of keeping it up to date to keep it going. And if they do that, no one's going to buy the game. Like that, it'll be very minimal. So, no, fuck Star Citizen.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you that the odds of us seeing it. I'm saying in the hypothetical that it does release. If you're saying that if it does release and it still doesn't sell, then now I disagree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you that I think that it's actually going to ever happen. I think that it's going to happen in a percentage of what they are trying to accomplish.
Yes,
but not in its. I don't think it's going to be in its completion.
Never.
But if it does hit its completion in a let's say within 5 years from now, it's going to sell like a fucking boatload of copies, dude. That game will be huge if it happens. Which is like in my opinion, 15% chance that it actually releases in its entirety as they are planning to do it. Right now, they can't even really make first-person shooting look like...
first-person shooting?
First-person shooting. Super chats we have coming in. Two biggies. We got Micro, who's asking a question ahead of time, but we'll get to it because it's a $20 friggin' super chat. How much do I have to pay to see you guys play the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and how much would I need to pay for... you two to give a passing damn about it? Well, you can't pay me to change my opinion, unfortunately. I'm not that easy. But
you can for me, and it's usually $1,000. I'll say whatever, if you want me to hate it, I can
put that face on.
I can definitely do that.
I mean, I'm sure Jeff and I are going to be.
We'll play it anyway.
Playing the game.
Yeah.
You're gonna see
you
it.
Don't have
and
to pay us to play it.
Yeah, that's going to likely happen. It's going to take everything in my power not to go in already thinking that I'm going to hate it, so that I don't just hate it by default. That's going to be my challenge with Final Fantasy VII. Is to not already go in hating it. And then Micro was the other super chat. He said, Jeff, I'm offended that you think the Asian market is just China. I don't
think it's just China.
I'll have you know that Southeast Asia is also a thing, a very small thing, but still.
Are you talking about the PPs? Or are you talking about the...
physical locations.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Physical locations.
I know, but China is a massive... China is a massive market.
China's a massive market that a lot of people are having a hard time breaking into because the government keeps selling them to censor the ever-living shit at everything.
But I think a lot of it for me too is when I think of China is I was also think about the movie industry, which is massive in China. So it's just a huge market. But yes. I know there's
a sizable number of people. in that market.
Not just China.
Technically, India is
It's
also
like
the
saying,
Asian market.
It's like saying North America, they say in the U.S. Well, guess what? There is Canada,
or no,
but we don't really talk about...
It's talking about America.
Or talking about America, they talk about the United States.
It's a foregone conclusion. It's like when you're talking about Kleenex, and that's actually facial tissue, but you mean everything is Kleenex.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, don't take offense to it. It's just...
Everything's China.
Yeah. Everything is China!
Honestly, in 10 years, everything might be China. So this might be prophetic.
That's it.
Nintendo, last little bit of... actually, no, sorry, I skipped ahead. In similar related China, Riot and Tencent may be making a League of Legends mobile game.
What do you mean, maybe? You mean they're making it?
Well, here's the thing. There's a bit of a story to this. So, originally... Tencent brought to Riot the concept of doing a League of Legends mobile game years ago. But Riot turned them down. Okay. They didn't want to have any part of it. For whatever reason, they decided to do it. And, this was I think in 2015. So at that time, maybe it wasn't the right idea to do a League of Legends mobile game. 2019, probably a good idea. 2015, yeah. However, Tencent, having the foresight anyway, and said, fuck it.
And the billions?
They went out and independently made a game called Honor of Kings for China, the Chinese market specifically. And it became the highest grossing multiplayer online battle arena game subsequently. So Tencent knew what was up. They knew China was going to buy into it. As it happens, it did. So then what Tencent tried to do after that was it tried to localize that game for the Western market. And that ended up being Arena of Valor.
Yeah, I've been seeing quite a few YouTubers shilling out that game. With they're paying a bunch of people to promote that game.
Push it. And here's the thing: it did nothing but. It did okay. It obviously didn't do the numbers that the thing did in China. The other game did in China, but they are pushing it like crazy. All it did though was it raised tensions with Riot because obviously Tencent owns Riot.
Yes.
Riot's League of Legends. They come to Riot. They say no, and they say fuck it. We'll make our own League of Legends with blackjack and hookers, and they do that, and they make bajillions of dollars. And now they're making their next version with blackjack, hookers, and cocaine. And it's also going to make fair amounts of money, and Riot's just going, well, fuck it, now we need to get in on this. So, Riot is allegedly now going to be working with Tencent to make a League of Legends game to be on mobile, which probably is happening because League of Legends brought down...
They're hurting, bro.
$1.4 billion last year.
They're hurting, bro.
Which sounds really good, but that's down 21% from 1 year previous.
They're hurting.
20% drop.
They're hurting. Dude, League of Legends is paying streamers to play their game.
Dude, that is a lot of money. Down 21% on a $1.4 billion bill. That's yikes for me, dog. In 1 year!
But you want to know what's sad? You want to know what's sad, bro? They're going to come out with a mobile game.
And it's going to go right back up. They're going to get that 21% back.
Real quick.
Real
fucking quick.
Yeah, but that's obviously why that's happening now is they need to find ways to monetize the game because it's just not pulling down the money. And Riot still hasn't pivoted to do anything other than League of Legends.
They're coasting, bro. They're coasting.
Coasting like champions.
They're coasting, but you know what? They're still making billions.
Still sexually harassing all their female employees.
Allegedly.
I don't even think it's allegedly anymore. I think they're just doing it.
It's okay.
And they're getting away with it.
They're getting away with it. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Grab him by the pussy.
Fuck it. Oh, man. Dude. Dude, I am so happy that three things are happening in the gaming world right now. Number one, League of Legends is dying a little bit, which makes me happy.
For now.
They ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, no.
Battle Royales are dying a lot. That makes me very happy.
You know what,
dude? You see the Apex Legends? They just came out with. I just saw it on Twitter yesterday. There was a graph on how many people were playing then and how many people were playing now, and it was like the graph went. It literally
a straight line.
No, bro, it went like this. It went like it started like this, and then it went. There wasn't even a. It was just.
There's just an elbow, like a not a 45.
Nah,
but like or not a 90, but like an 88%,
An
88 degree.
No, it was a straight 90-degree angle. It was like they climbed a ladder and then they just jumped. They just jumped off it. And they said, fuck it, bro, it's hurting, bro. It's hurting so bad right now.
Well, you know what's crazy is I was watching Shroud playing PUBG last night when I was doing. I actually got in the mail some fucking Stats Canada thing that I had to, like, when Stats Can comes calling, you have to do it. It's like you don't have a choice.
Yes, yeah.
So I was doing that while I was watching Shroud do his thing, and what I realized was that I'm watching Shroud play this game, and they've made, credit to PUBG. They just keep fucking PUBG is turning into the Hello Games of the friggin' Battle Royale scene.
Dude, the cockroaches, they're not going anywhere, bro.
It's like No Man's Sky. It's like everyone shit on them, and they just shut the fuck up.
Yep, they put their head down and they just kept grinding it out.
And they're not going particularly fast.
No.
But they're still going.
They're the tortoise.
They're chipping away.
Bro, they're going to be the ones that are
come out alive at the end.
I guarantee it, bro. 3 years from now, bro, when Battle Royales are dead,
PUBG's still there.
PUBG will be there.
Yes.
They'll be the only one just holding down it for the fort. That's going to be it.
And so he's playing it. And he was talking, like, first of all, he was mentioning, like, all the updates that he was noticing, like, sound effects 1,000 times better now. Movement, like, animations and stuff are getting better. It's still got all sorts of jank in it. But he said, the other thing he said was that no other Battle Royale has gotten down the satisfactory feeling, the satisfaction that you get in PUBG of hitting a good shot.
Yep.
Nobody else does it like PUBG ever did it.
Because it's more simulation than arcade. Speaking of that, I can finally say it.
Oh.
I can finally say it.
Oh, is the game that you worked on?
Yeah.
Oh, what is
I
it?
can finally say it.
What is it?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I voice acted in a video game.
Frag out!
I play a corpsman. All right. I play I don't have a name. I think I'm a generic guy. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know if I'm actually a playable player, but I do believe I'm like a player that you can play.
Okay.
And so, because all my lines were like, frag out!
Like really specific.
Ah! Oh, my leg! Like, I was doing all kinds of like.
Unless they have a lot of specific background noise for their NPCs.
It could be that too.
Yeah.
But like, we're doing like, fuck like a lot of swearing, like, shit, fuck, shit! Like,
Which, if you took a grenade to the leg, those are the only words coming out of your mouth. It's, oh God, fuck, shit.
That's, dude.
Oh God.
It was a lot of those lines. It was a lot of like, I need a medic! It was like all kinds of different things. So the game, it's called Squad.
It's to the point.
It's called Squad. It's a first-person simulator.
I've seen people play that game.
Dude, I looked it up on Steam.
People take that game really seriously.
Bro, it's very highly rated on Steam, and apparently it's the fucking shit.
Yes.
And I'm in it.
People kind of take it seriously in a similar way as they do like CS:GO in terms of like when you're playing on a team, like how much expectation people have of you knowing like calls and like where's what and everything else. It's
the real
like
deal,
that.
bro. It's
Yeah.
like it's like if you were really in Afghanistan or something and you're with your troops.
People want you to basically be a soldier,
literally,
as if you had literally been drafted by the army and spent some time overseas.
Yes, that's what it is. So that's the game. It's called Squad. You can download it on Steam if you want to check it out. I am gonna play it pretty fucking soon. I think like one of these days when I'm still getting wrecked by the queue, I think I'm gonna put it on.
You're gonna be bad at the game that you're in, and then just listen to yourself.
I just want to. I'll get myself shots. I can go, oh fuck my leg.
Just aim down, shoot yourself in the foot, just so you can hear yourself.
That's it. just so I can hear my own voice. Jeff,
amazing.
I can confirm you are a playable character.
Oh, let's go.
Am I really?
You made it, bro.
Am I really?
You made it.
Can you 100%? It's
Exceed
100%
plays a lot of that game.
MP shooter. It's 100% MP shooter.
Multiplayer shooter, yeah.
Can you confirm that I am? Are you sure? Are you just making that up? Because if I'm a playable character, I'm gonna.
Now you're gonna have to play your own
As soon as
game.
I'm done this, I'm downloading Squad and I'm booting up the stream and I'm playing my own goddamn character. I'm gonna be terrible at the game, but it's gonna be awesome.
Dude, I think I watched Shroud play it one day. Was it Shroud or Halifax? I can't remember. Anyways, it was a game that
I know
a lot
Halifax
of the,
plays it a bit.
It was a lot of the people that do battle royales played it for. They might have been paying some people because they all kind of played it
At the same time.
Yeah. And it's what the thing that surprised people were like, it's a hardcore military shooter. It's kind of like
let's play it. Hey, yo,
it's kind of like Arma.
Let's fucking play that shit, bro. Download that shit. And let's fucking go.
We'd be bad together.
Fuck yeah, dude. But we'll play my character and we'll just shoot each other and stuff.
We'll get Exeeg. Exeeg can show us the ropes.
All right. That's who
Exeeg,
plays it, right?
Yeah, he plays the hardcore. Exeeg is heavily into shooters.
Of course, I got paid for it, man. I'm not gonna do that.
He did
work
it for exposure.
No, fuck that. I did it for money. That's what I did it for. And then I did it also because video games are wicked.
Video game.
Dude, I want to be in a fucking video game.
Yes.
And it wasn't like a small, tiny part. Like
no.
It wasn't like I have 3 lines of like a regular, some sort of NPC in an MMO where I'm like, oh, good day, mate. How would you like to buy a fucking bottle of water? And then that's it.
You went from Australia to like a Cockney accent.
I actually don't know what the fuck. I don't know where I went with that. But, I have a lot of lines in this game and a lot of variations of lines.
All right, now I want you to use that accent and give me a frag out and I need a medic.
Oh, shit, mate! I need a fucking frag! Frag me, mate!
You need a what?
A frag!
Is there an R in there?
A frag! A frag! I need a medic! Quickly, please! Fucking wanker! Fuck.
That's beautiful.
Don't ever hire me to do that accent
That's
ever.
fucking beautiful.
Don't ever do it.
Or do.
Or do it.
There's a
Totally.
comedy effect there for sure. Yeah, I'm
Or
down.
do it.
I'm down. Last bit of news is that Nintendo pulled 2 of their mobile games from Belgium due to the new loot box laws. Remember, Belgium was like the first really major deal there. The 2 games were Animal Crossing Pocket Camp and Fire Emblem Heroes. I mean, those are 2 actually pretty substantial mobile games. They're scheduled to be taken down in a few months. And Nintendo has said that they will no longer release games with similar monetization in Belgium in the future.
Damn.
So Belgium's stuff actually having an impact. Some people thought it would they'd never actually try to enforce it, or that it wouldn't ever like leak into major releases, and here we are. Nintendo now pulling out.
I mean, it makes sense for Nintendo though, right? Because
Nintendo really doesn't want to be associated with child gambling.
No,
That's bad.
They just.
They should probably just not have those monetization features in general.
Yeah, period.
Would be a good idea.
Yeah, it would be a great idea. I think if there's any developer or company that should not have any of those features, it should be Nintendo. Because their demographic is quite literally the ones that you're trying not to get to do this.
Exactly.
It's
you are at the core of where you don't want to be doing these things.
at all.
Ever.
At all. Because if anybody's using it, chances are they're underage. And it's a bad time.
It's a bad time.
It's a bad time. So
bad time. I'm just watching chat catch up with your incredible fucking accent. That was 10 out of 10. Would listen to that again. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the follow button.
Yes.
Hit the like button.
yes.
Hit several buttons.
Hit the Patreon button.
That's a good one too. Patreon.com/lagtv. You can go. Oh my god, the timing, dude. Look. The timing on patreon.com/lagtv just popped up on the screen.
Oh, on the screen.
The timing was real.
I'm like, whoa.
Calculated.
It's like, what happened?
Patreon.com/lagtv. Of course, you can go follow us on the socials, which are also popping up here in the bottom of the screen right now. And join the community. Give us your money. We need it. But yeah, most importantly, perhaps of all, hit the like button if you're here on YouTube. We've had people coming in. Couple people coming in from Spotify, iTunes. They show up in the YouTube comment section later. It's like, I'm coming from Spotify, I'm coming from iTunes, just to hit the like button and leave a comment. Fire,
dude. Those guys.
Dedication,
dude. The podcast is on a come up. It's on a come up. Straight up. Podcast is on the come up, and it's because all you motherfuckers
sharing
are hitting the
it
like
like
button,
champions.
sharing it, taking the
That's
clips, sharing the clips, doing all that stuff.
That's right.
Hitting the like button. Hit it. We got 240 viewers right now, only 120 likes. I want to see that go to 157 likes.
Yes, Mark's reminding
Right
me
now.
that I continue to forget to update the thing down below with like the glitch version that he sent me about a month and a half ago.
Standard.
That's not uncommon.
Standard.
It's not uncommon. Mr. Black, hit me up with the sound of movies and TV.
Movies and TV.
Jeff, were you aware that Batwoman is actually female?
I am aware of it.
Okay, well, CW really wants to make sure that you understand that because we just got a 3.5 minute long feminist trailer that was more about the fact that Batwoman does in fact have a vagina than it was about anything and everything that Batwoman would or could do.
That trailer was ass.
One of the most painful trailers I've seen in a long time.
It was really
and
bad.
not just because of that part. I think I heard some sound effects that you get for free on fucking Fruity Loop Studio.
They're using stock sound effects.
They're using some real stock. You're not even trying to hide it. Like the swoosh sounds.
It's a CW show.
I hit you up with the swoosh.
That's it. That's it.
That was the sound for Kate as she jumped. High quality.
I ain't watching it.
And nobody else is either.
No.
That was painful. Honest to God. Now, there have been a lot of movies and television shows and stuff that have jumped on this crazy hyper pro-female, but in the most ham-fisted way possible, to the point where even the women are watching it going, that ain't it, dog. Back the fuck up. That shit cringeworthy. They've been deleting comments like crazy on this. Obviously, the
dog shit.
Are you serious?
It looks like dog shit, bro.
I mean, if you pull out all of that, it still looks like complete and utter ass. The action looked terrible.
I'm gonna be real too. The actress, she's not a great actress.
No,
she's not a great actress.
No, I haven't seen her in a lot. I mean, she did John Wick 2, where she was a mute. For most of it.
Fuck, what was the other one? Somebody's gonna know. She was in something not too long ago. It was a fairly no, actually, she was in that shark movie, I think, with Jason Statham. I think she was in fuck, what's that big Megalodon thing that came out?
Meg.
Dirt. I think she was in that. I think she was in the Meg, and she played one of the. She played the I don't know. She was awful.
Scientist or mother scientist or.
I think she was a scientist actually, or she was part of that group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho.
So the trailer was bad. Some incredible quotes are. Well, I have I have written here an embarrassing amount of literally. She's a woman. I'm a woman. Men aren't as cool, and then some direct quotes right through to the music selection. Even the song in the background was
Fruity Loops.
Was like the ham-fisted female empowerment stuff, but in ways that again females were like, you were not empowering us. You're making us look like fucking idiots. The sound I have written down here, painful. Also, holy shit, bad sound effects. And then, of course, also a lesbian. We gotta get as many of those things in there as possible. I actually don't mind Batwoman as a lesbian, but it was like that in tandem with everything else in the trailer that was like,
oh, it was force-fed,
it was like, we're not doing it to actually empower somebody. We're just doing it because it would be cool to, I don't know, somebody.
Bro, no.
And then my favorite scene, two parts in this, was she's like this. She goes down into Bruce Wayne's fucking mansion, into the Bat Cave, all of his shit, everything standing there. Sees the bat suit and the fucking thing. Dude who apparently made it standing behind her, and she goes, we need to we need to make some modifications. And the guy was like, that's perfect. And she turns around to him and says, it'll be perfect once it fits a woman. And then the follow-up to that as well was at the end, I think one of the last things was, I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work. And I just was like, what are you even talking about?
She's talking about having a vagina. And
the irony is that you actually just walked into Bruce Wayne's mansion, down into his bat cave, looked at his bat suit, co-opted all of that shit, and now you're saying I'm not going to let a man take credit for a woman's work, and you're like, What are you talking?
Bro, you know
What are you
know we
talking
need
about
we
right
need
now?
we gotta get the technology where we have a TV screen right here and we can just pull up these bullshit trailers
And just watch them.
live for everybody.
The
and
challenge would be getting them like into
Well, you-
audition and stuff as well. The only way we can ultimately the only way we could ever do that is if in
Well,
the future we get an actual mixer and I'm running the computer audio and everything into that and our mic audio.
Yeah.
And then it's going multi-track into the
Well,
computer.
the only other thing it would be for YouTube viewers, more so for the secondary channel and stuff, so that
You're gonna
they
make me
could
do
watch
more
it.
editing work.
Well, no, Mark would cut that
No, I
that
mean
section.
for this because we're still recording live for the RSS feed. So I'd have to like timestamp it to go in and cut that out and stitch and like work
yeah.
around the fact that we're doing stuff
Well,
for YouTube.
I mean, we could also, yeah. But it's only if it's only a 2 or 3 minute trailer.
I just have to seek through, or I have to
Yeah.
like fucking clap and be like, "This is where it is."
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know how you do it, but it would be pretty dope for us to have a
Yes.
screen connected there, and then we watch the trailer.
I
and
do
then,
think it'd
and
be
then-
dope if we were Joe Rogan.
Pretty much, but we're, fuck. Be pretty-
Possible. We just need to have like a big old mixer, and we'd have to like hire Mark to come here and do all of that
Fuck.
on the fly. Yeah,
Anyway, that is what it
we
is.
aren't making enough money for that. Patreon.com/LagTV.
Make it happen.
Make it. Micro with another
Oh my
$20. He's trying to make it happen. Last one for today, since apparently I'll starve to death if I continue. Probably will. How much would I need to pay you guys to do a parody dub of literally any recent garbage show? A parody dub? Oh my!
Oh, like a dub, like
I don't do voices. Jeff's the voice guy.
Well, I mean,
Unless you ask
you
him
could
to
be
do
the
an
straight man.
Australian
You
accent.
could do this. You could play the straight man. You
Yeah.
know? A game like we could read.
I mean,
we could,
bad pun, but it's 2019. Playing the straight man isn't cool anymore.
yeah, that's pretty.
Da-na-na-na-na. Shh. That's the best joke I had, bro. So that trailer was bad. You know what trailer wasn't all that terrible? Terminator Dark Fate, which basically looked like Terminator 2, but the T-1000 dipped itself in black.
Yeah, and you want to know what's funny? At the beginning, did you see Tencent? Their logo popped up.
Yes,
so
because it's their production studio is part of the
Yeah.
team made it. Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, man, Tencent
like,
is fucking
their
everywhere.
hands are everywhere.
Bro, they're everywhere.
James Cameron getting in bed with Tencent.
Everything.
Better boycott all of James Cameron's movies now,
Fuck.
boys.
Jesus Christ.
The Chinese are coming for
You can't stop James Cameron, bro. You can't stop James Cameron.
No. I have one, yeah, it's true. In one voice, and it's like the Deckard Cain voice. It always comes down, like I'll start in one accent, and then the longer I speak in that accent, it gets closer and closer to Deckard Cain until it becomes Deckard
Until it's just Deckard Cain.
Yeah, exactly. Happens every time. But yeah, what did you think of the trailer?
I didn't hate it. I didn't
yeah.
hate it, but I'll be honest, I'm also not excited for Terminator at this point. Like, it's one of those things that's like,
They kind of fucked that up so much for
it's
a
the
long
best.
time that
It's the best Terminator trailer that I've seen
Yes,
since.
but that
the
wasn't
old
a
school-
high watermark.
It's not a high one.
No, tide was low on that one.
And I do have faith that it's going to be good because James Cameron is producing this. He's very hands-on in this. You know,
I think even James Cameron's looking at his intellectual property, going, "Man,
Yeah.
this got shit on."
well,
for a
and the
while.
fact that they go, guess what? All the other movies,
they aren't canon anymore.
they're not canon.
Yeah.
This is the third one. So,
Yeah.
I also think we're going to finally get a resolution for the main characters because they're 90 years old.
Yes.
So,
HGH can only take you so far, Jeff.
that only can take you so far.
Yeah.
Can't keep you alive.
No.
So
it can apparently stop a small child that drop kicks you and
saw
stops
that.
you from moving.
yeah, Arnold just went.
It's like I thought somebody bumped into me in the lineup. 71 years old on enough HGH to fucking knock
Somebody
a horse out.
fucking Bruce Lee kicked him from the bleachers.
Dude the guy who did that doesn't understand physics, where if you kick somebody where you're not on the ground,
Yeah.
to have the ground leverage you, that weighs twice as much as you actually don't do anything.
No, you don't do damage.
That's not how physics works.
Yeah, you probably hurt yourself on the way down.
I'm going to say yes. And then he screamed
And-
for a Lamborghini after that or some shit. It was some weird, yeah, I'm going to go with meth.
Yes,
When all else fails,
meth.
meth. But yeah, the trailer looked pretty good. We got to see Linda Hamilton?
Yep.
Hamilton come out. Well, all the guns ablazing. She's badass as fuck. You can't hate Linda. Linda's a god. She came out, did her
Goddess.
thing, goddess.
See, that's how you do a powerful female character.
Yes, she's a
without
goddamn
saying,
badass.
She didn't come out and go, Happy Mother's Day.
Or it wasn't like a guy gets out of the car first,
Yeah.
fails at doing anything, gets killed, and
Yeah.
then Linda comes out. can't let a man do a woman's job. It was just she got out of the car, fucked his day up.
Yeah.
And it was a badass.
Yes.
And then for some reason, the T-800 or whatever that Terminator's model is out in the woods chopping wood.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
He's pulling a straight up fucking Thanos in the middle of fucking nowhere, living his life. Somebody showing up at his door, like, really?
He's got a vineyard.
Yeah, he's just fucking sitting there. He's got takes him down to the wine cellar, talks about his wines. This one's been sitting for 30 years. How would you like to open
Chateau Terminator.
Straight up. Fuck.
I pulled full disclosure. I pulled that wine joke because the Picard. You never got to see it yet. The Picard trailer for CBS Star Trek.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Is that what he's doing too?
He has a winery. He's retired. He's got a winery or whatever. Which I could like his character. That makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah.
But all they needed to do was they had like an altered version of the intro to Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is what they used. And, they slow pan up, and there's Patrick. I can't fucking age more than like 5 years in the last 40. Stewart. And you get nerd chills if you're a Star Trek fan. And even if you aren't, Patrick Stewart's a goddamn legend, so you just go along with it anyway. So lots of people are pretty excited for that. So to me, it didn't show anything really. Like it gives you like the little taste of what the story is supposed to be about. Shows you Patrick Stewart, and then you go, oh, right, Star Trek used to be good. And then you get ready for it.
I wouldn't expect to have Patrick Stewart even have a major presence.
He's the titular role.
Yeah. Say what?
It's literally called, like, Picard. This is this is his show.
Oh, okay.
Because Patrick Stewart is a goddamn legend.
All the power to him. I mean, I don't know how long they're planning to have the show running, but the guy looks dead.
No, he's good, dude. That dude has more energy than I do. He's the secret of life.
How old is he? He's got to be
he's
like
in his 70s, I think.
He's gonna be pushing 80, bro.
Well, him and fucking Sir Ian McKellen are one of the greatest bromances on earth. And the secret to life is they're both actually happy, and so they have lots of energy.
Yeah, he's 78.
He just got married not all that long ago to a much younger, gorgeous woman.
Of course he did.
He's this big. He's a fucking god. He's made it, bro.
He's living the dream. Man.
He's made it.
He's literally living the dream.
I made it a long time ago, but now he's definitely making it. So yeah, show's gonna hopefully be really good. And it can't possibly be worse than some of the Star Trek shit we've been getting for a while in TV land. Lots of people will dispute that that's the case, but I didn't think any of it was good. And then other than that, we are into, unless you've got something else.
John Wick.
Yeah, we've got John Wick and Game of Thrones. So we've got spoilers on top of spoilers, depending on your flavor of what you don't want to be spoiled on. We'll do John Wick first.
I mean, we don't have to spoil John Wick. We can give our because there's really not much to spoil in John Wick because there's no plot.
Yes.
So instead of spoiling, we'll keep this a spoiler-free review of John Wick.
That's fair.
So that you guys don't have to tune out because I know there's probably a bunch that didn't see the movie yet. Yeah, so John Wick, but we are going to spoil Game of Thrones when that comes, obviously. I mean, everybody's seen it now. John Wick 3. What'd you think? Adam, out of 10, what do you give it?
It's an 8.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at.
It's an 8.
It's literally where I'm at.
Here's the thing. John Wick 3 gave me absolutely everything that I needed John Wick 3 to be from an action standpoint. And it gave me, but the trade-off for that, and it actually gave me even more than I needed.
Yeah,
it went above. It went above where I was at for action.
Mm-hmm.
I could have clawed back a little bit of that and given me a little bit more story. Now there is story in the movie. It just that it's similar to the first movie in terms of a lot of the story that you get is what I would call like second hand or like story by osmosis. Yeah. You absorb the story by watching the action.
Yeah.
Like you get the story by the actions of everyone involved.
Yeah.
Like you get backstory of John Wick in the first movie by scenes like the guy who calls up at the chop shop. Why'd you punch my son? He jacked John Wick's car and killed his dog. And then he just responds with, oh, and then hangs up the phone. That tells you everything you need to know about John fucking Wick. And then he follows that up with the killed like 5 dudes with a pencil.
Yes.
a fucking pencil.
Yeah.
That's the kind of story that you got, which was cool, but you also got little other tidbits in the first couple of movies. And this one,
Well,
it
the
was
how
just
movie was a ton of world building.
a lot more world building because they
really
introduced a lot of characters, right?
Yeah, and they
Like
talked a lot more
Lawrence
about
Fishburne
how the Continentals work and,
Yes.
and the whole coin system.
which
like,
roped me in. That
oh,
shit's
I
fire.
love that shit. And then the third one came, and it was like what you said. It was
Pure
all,
action.
It was all action, and it just kind of. It wasn't even a half between number 1 and 2 in terms of story.
No.
It was literally.
It was 90-10 split.
Yeah, if that. I mean, there was quite literally
Yeah.
no story. I mean, it picks up exactly where number 2 left off, which is what you want.
You get
but-
some of it again by osmosis. It's like,
But
like a
they
couple.
they introduce a couple of new characters, and then their story about those characters and sort of what they do, and then
yes,
that's
about it.
About it.
Yeah.
I mean that's about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where it loses the points for me.
Yes, and that's the only 2 points that it loses.
The other thing that I found with this one that I had some time to think about it, because the action was incredible. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the action's crazy. Especially the opening act in the library. Nuts. Nuts.
You know what got me about this movie's action? And I said this to you when we were sitting in the theater watching it. I said, bro, they're not even playing music
No.
during these scenes.
No.
You're hearing the room sound.
Yes.
Like if you listen closely enough, you might hear a cameraman cough
Yes.
in these scenes. They are doing nothing but these long one cut
Yes. Fight scenes. Yeah.
where it's nothing but the fight being showcased. No sound effects really,
Yeah.
other than like the obvious like ones that you have to do to make it more punchy.
Yeah.
No music, no nothing. You just get a bunch of dudes doing some crazy shit
Yep.
with nothing behind it, and that's what tells you they're confident as fuck. And it should be.
It is, and that was great. So beyond the story, which you know what, I was okay with it because let's be real, we go to John Wick for the action, so I was okay with that. I would have loved a little bit more story just because I think the world is so intriguing, and
that's just why I want to see it.
and it's
Yeah.
like it's almost like if the Matrix no longer had any story and it was just Matrixy cool shit. It's like I could still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the world is so crazy that you could do so much with it, and that's what I wanted more of John Wick. So it was a bit of a letdown there.
Yeah.
The other thing was that I did notice is in this one, I found there was a little bit too many flips, like grabbing people and throwing people.
What, judo?
Yeah, like it was just I felt like everything was like flipping somebody over whatever, and that's fine. But what I also did, and I hate the fact that I do this in movies, but I do, is when they got flipped over, sometimes this happened maybe 3 or 4 times in the movie, and there's tons of flips, so 3 or 4 times is really not that much.
Yeah.
I kept my eye on the guy that was on the ground, and you could tell that he was, as the actor, he was either overacting him being hurt on the ground, or he was just kind of pausing and letting the action kind of do it and waiting for his cue to get back up or whatever.
You'll even see Keanu in spots with these really, and I mean fucking long fight scenes.
Yeah.
Get in spots where he's fighting like multiple guys.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to escape this, especially because they're doing these wide angle, no jump cuts, no shaky cam. You see no music, nothing.
No, dude, it's
So you'll catch occasionally Keanu look for where he knows the next hit is coming and stuff, right?
It's choreographed.
It's
so
choreographed.
He's
So
like,
he
shit,
knows.
I need to be, and he's trying
He
to act
knows.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can see him processing that, but it's very
Exactly.
faint. It
Oh, it's
doesn't
faint.
happen often.
It doesn't ruin anything.
It doesn't ruin anything,
What
but
it
I
does
do
ruin-
notice. I
You
did
do
notice it because
yeah.
because the action's so, like you said, it's so focused. There's so minimal cuts.
Yeah.
That you're literally taking it all in. I mean, it's like having a naked body.
Yeah.
And
You got nothing to hide.
You have nothing to hide, and you're leaving the lights on.
Exactly.
You see everything that's going on, and you know if you're insecure about your body, you turn the lights off, and then you have more confidence. You do it because the imperfections are hidden. Here, there's no hiding those.
No.
And there isn't many of them, so that's kudos to them. But when they are there, I do notice them.
Yeah.
It doesn't take me out of the movie at all, but it's like.
It does for me. I noticed something like again didn't pull me out.
Yeah.
It did. It for me in a weird way. It just kind of made me appreciate what, they're doing
doing
even more.
Yeah.
because now you're really seeing them in the process, and the amount of heads like Keanu Reeves was in his 50s.
Yeah.
Was he 54 or 51? Somewhere
He's
in
in
there.
his 50s.
And he doesn't do his stunts, but he does every piece of fucking action
Yes.
in that movie.
Yeah. He even did some stunts.
And he did
like
stunts.
a lot of the horse stuff,
Right.
like all kinds of shit he's done.
But
It's crazy. It's crazy.
you just
it's
see
insane.
like how much is going on in his head in all of these scenes. And so to just see like it adds it almost makes it more, and John Wick, you could arguably, it's gotten much bigger now, but when the first movie came out, it really took word of mouth to get it going because it didn't really blow up in the box office.
Yeah.
Is that John Wick is approaching more of like an art house action franchise than a traditional action franchise, right?
Yeah, it's like The Raid.
Yeah,
that's
so
what it is.
So it makes it even feel more like that and just more impressive. And so, but again, you don't get as much story, which only disappointed me because I'm so interested in this because they did such a goddamn good job.
Me too.
Of building the world.
I would love to. I honestly, I prefer. And they just did announce John Wick 4. They announced that like 2 days ago. It's coming out in 2020.
I think we're going to get the story closer to John Wick 2 in John Wick 4.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What I would love to see for John Wick, honestly, I would have just loved it if Keanu said, fuck it, let's take this to the small screen. Let's get a Netflix series or let's go on HBO.
Well, don't they already have a TV series?
They are working on
some
something,
sort?
but I don't think Keanu's going to be part of it. I think they're going to start. It's going to be in the world of
that might
which I
make
might be
it
okay.
better.
It might make it better, but I feel like because these movies are relatively small budget films as well. Like
they're not huge money on them.
No, there's like really no CGI. It's like vast majority of it's
practical
all
effects.
practical shit.
Yeah,
there's no green screens.
No.
It's the real sets, real thing. I think this format, if they're going to get crazy with the action, I think in the format of a TV show would be great because they could have like 10 hours to really. Like, you could have an amazing action sequence or two in an hour span, but also have story building.
Well, you have so much more space for the story
exactly,
building, right?
because in a movie, you still want to throw popcorn in your mouth. You want to see it all on the big screen.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that John Wick needs to be watched on a big screen because it's not a theatrical.
No.
It's not a big block. It is huge now. I mean, it's a big franchise now, but in terms of like, I have to see it on the big screen.
It doesn't need to be, no.
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 I mean, if you've got a nice 55-inch, 65-inch TV at home.
You damn near anything. You're going to appreciate John Wick no matter what you're watching on.
Yes.
You're watching your fucking phone.
Yes.
You're going to appreciate the shit.
But overall, it was great. I thought the action was better in this one than it was number 2. Number 1 is still the best. Number 2 is the best for stories. And number 3 is just the best for action, like just straight up all action, nutty. It was almost like, and it was riding that line of becoming monotonous because there was so much action and it felt like
it stayed up here.
Yeah, and
you
every
always run
scene,
that risk.
It
right?
was like a video game where John Wick would go into a place and it would be a scene. He'd defeat the boss or whatever.
Well, you could tell whenever they entered a new area.
Yes, shit was going. It was a new set piece.
It was like when they sat down to do 3, they thought, all right, we need to do, if we were to go into this building, how would a fight play out here? And then they choreographed it and did it.
Yeah.
And then they go, all right, but what if we included some horses?
Yes.
Okay, well, this is what would happen.
Yeah.
All right, well, what if he was on a motorbike because Keanu likes to ride bikes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is what would happen.
And it felt like, that's exactly what it is. And it felt like, since there was no story, John Wick never really had to be anywhere except for like one or two spots in the movie where the story was kind of leading him to go to these places.
Well, the movie was him getting from point A to point B.
Yeah, other than that, it was like him fighting in a library, going outside, fighting outside, getting fucked up, going into a building.
The last 30 minutes of that movie,
it was madness. Bro.
It
was just fucking madness, bro.
Insane.
It was just madness,
and so perfect, so self-aware.
Yeah,
in such a perfect fucking way.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying.
Dude, Halle Berry. I don't even really like Halle Berry, and I thought I thought she did great in the movie.
I actually really don't like Halle Berry, and it's not for any other reason than it's just one of those people that when I've watched her in movies, I have nothing against her.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't even like her. It's just somebody who, when she's in a movie, I immediately go, eh. So when I found out she was in this, I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me in John Wick. And I didn't hate it. I think she did very well. The only thing was you could, like, it was it was a stark contrast in Keanu's abilities in the hand-to-hand combat and Halle Berry's capabilities in hand-to-hand combat. And they, whether it was intentional or not, obviously they made up for that a bit by making her, the dog master and whatnot. And so that was cool to see. There was some funny shit that went down there.
There was some good stuff there.
But that was like, for me, when
I also found that scene. I also found that scene felt like a set. So I didn't. That took me out of the movie a bit, where I literally thought I was watching
smaller than it should have.
It felt very small. It literally felt like I was on the set watching them film John Wick, opposed to me being in the movie.
Yeah.
It felt really not amateur.
Yeah.
But it felt very amateur.
Well, and it was because they had to work around the dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
So
there was some. That was probably one. It was like the coolest scene, but the weakest scene.
Yes.
In the movie, but it was what they did was
great.
It was amazing.
It was great.
But I was in the back of my mind. I knew what they were doing. I was more impressed with the show. It was like watching theater.
Yes.
Where you're watching a theater performance. You're at a theater and you're watching these actors act. And it's not cinematic, but you're in wow by what they're doing.
Yes.
That you're still loving what they're doing, even though you're watching theater.
Yes.
It was like that's what that was.
Yes.
For that specific scene.
So it was. It's a good movie.
Go see it.
Go
8 out
fucking
of 10.
see John Wick.
If you love the other John Wicks, you're gonna love the action.
If you're somebody who is more leaning into the action of John Wick and don't really care about the story, then it's going to likely be a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Because for us, it's only an 8 out of 10 because we just want to see more story. And I think, given what you see at the end, that 4 is going to be a bit more.
I hope so.
Story heavy.
I hope so.
Because I think we're going to get more of who in that next movie, and so
absolutely.
I think, and I'm excited for that because any more interaction between those two is a thumbs up.
It was good.
For me.
It's great movie.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Spoilers are coming now.
Game of Thrones.
Is the series finale, Jeff? It's the last of them. Game of Thrones has become extinct.
Until the prequels come.
Which
are already one of them
already being filmed in Scotland
right now.
or something right now. Yeah. So, started as usual. My score.
Out of 10.
It was a 5.
Ooh, I thought you were going to go a little higher.
I was in my head right now going between 5 and 6, but then I reminded myself of a couple things and I dropped it back to a 5.
Where do I go? Fuck. If you had asked me what I scored it out of 10 right after the show, like right after it ended, credits roll up.
There's a lot more emotion involved in that.
Yeah. It would have been another 7.5. Now that I had time to think about it, let it digest.
That's what you have to do sometimes.
I'm at a 6 for now.
Okay.
I'm at a 6 for now.
And we'll talk about it more and see if that changes.
It might change, but I'm at a 6.
I'm telling you, it's a 5 for me and it ain't really going anywhere, I don't think. And you know why it's a 5? Before we get into the dirty of it, you know why it's a 5? Because of the music and because of the actors.
Yeah.
And that's the only points. And they carried the fuck out of that 5. And that's it. Pretty much everything else about that episode, bad. Like, strikingly bad. In fact, I have a list.
Oh, you may.
Because I didn't want to forget. Because in other episodes that we've discussed, I've forgotten shit because it's like a week since we, almost like 4 or 5 days in between. So, some questions I have here. Or some things, some general observations I made during the show. That I was sitting there going, what the fuck? Apparently, Jamie and Cersei only needed to move about 10 feet in either direction to survive what they did because
I hated that, dude.
When I thought that Tyrion was going to go down, see they completely stoned in, and it was just going to be him That was it.
Yep.
Realizing what happened, that's it. Because when you watched in episode 5, the whole goddamn
area
place
comes down.
Every archway, everything,
ding, boom, dead.
It wasn't the areas between the arches.
No, the whole
arches.
They started
everything
just coming down, bro. There was no escaping it.
No. And then we get into this, and you watch Tyrion walk in, and every archway is still intact, and there's like 5 bricks on the ground. And then he goes down, and so few bricks manage to hit the 2 of them that he only needed to remove 1 brick. 1! They weren't even bludgeoned or fucked up. It looked like they got tossed around in some dirt, but they were dead. And again, apparently all they needed to do was move 10 feet in another fucking direction, and they live. And instead, 1 brick takes it out, and then that's the show. No fucking joke. When I was watching that scene, and he took the 1 brick off and saw it, I went, Cersei's still alive. In my head, I went, she's fucking alive. I can fucking feel it. She's alive. And thank God she wasn't.
Yeah. I said it out loud too when he went in there. I was like, whoa, wasn't this place gone down? And I said, wait, is Cersei alive? Is that why? Is Cersei alive? No. No, you just got to remove a brick and have a little shed a tear.
One brick.
Dude, and then of course, there's a little tiny gap up at the top so that he could fit through. And then when he goes in there, dude, it's clearer than motherfucking a beautiful sunny day
the dragon
in
head's
Las
still
Vegas.
There.
Everything is fucking perfectly fine. They didn't even try to make it look like the place was fucked up.
No.
It was like clear, dude. Tyrion's walking around, not like walking over bricks, or he's just walking on ground.
Yes.
And then he gets to the part where there they are,
like,
and
bricks.
he sees Jaime's hand, right? It just so happens to be out there. He's like, oh no. And he moves the brick, and there they are. And then the music, and the violin
Reigns
comes
of
in.
Casimir. What a goddamn terrible
All right, so
scene.
there's one bad one.
There's one.
So that was the one I was already thinking of.
Here's a question, Jeff. How in the fuck did Grey Worm get to the top of those stairs before Jon got there, when Jon left Grey Worm as he's killing off prisoners? Specifically, it wasn't like Jon was walking to like go have a snack or something. Jon was en route when he finds Grey Worm doing this shit. He's en route to go see Daenerys, and then walks away, and Grey Worm is still there slitting throats.
Yes.
And and somehow beats Jon there and is at the top of the fucking stairs as if he's been there all afternoon. And then Jon just walks up and gives him the fucking sheepish look, and then goes in to have his little powwow or listen to Daenerys come out and give her thing. Then we see the scene or the shot of Daenerys walking out, and Drogo's behind and opens his wings, and it looks like she's, got dragon wings and everything. And yeah, it's cool, but I mean, that was like it was almost like too obvious of a fucking scene. In fact, in my head, in a couple of other episodes before, I thought to myself, am I going to see this? Am I going to see some version of wings behind Daenerys at some point? And sure as shit, here we are.
I didn't hate that. I thought it looked nice.
Cool, but it was like,
I know what you're saying.
It was like a dad joke.
Yes.
It's like it was there, it was too easy, but you made it anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But that I'm still mind fucked as to how Grey Worm got there, but it's whatever. Also, can somebody describe to me how the fuck there were that many Unsullied left? And more specifically, how there were that many Dothraki left after they sent pretty much every goddamn one of them to their deaths. And now there's like 10,000 of them.
I saw the army. There were so many of them.
It looks like she didn't lose anyone.
I was like, who? Where? And when you're watching the battle, when they're all going into King's Landing, where were they then? Like, you didn't see, like, you saw some of them, but...
Well, the Dothraki, we saw pretty much all of them.
No, I mean, like, in the previous episode.
Oh, yeah, there was like nothing. You know why? Because they were dead.
It's like, where did they come from?
Raised from the dead.
Not only that, motherfucker. I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but at the end, where did the Dothraki go?
Oh, no, hold on.
Where the fuck did they go?
Oh, that's a good one by itself. Don't.
Okay.
Hold on that. Hold on, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Next up, Drogon really hates the Iron Throne.
There was some emo shit going on there.
So apparently the dragons have levels of intelligence far beyond what anyone was giving them credit for, because after he realizes that Daenerys is Rip,
By the way, Jon kills Daenerys.
Jon kills Daenerys,
which I saw coming the moment they were sitting in front of each other.
Yes.
And Jon was walking up. I like that part of the scene where Jon is walking towards the Iron Throne.
Yes.
The dragon's out front. The dragon kind of gets up, looks at him, is like, okay, it's just Jon.
Yeah,
he goes back.
in.
Because Jon's really the only one that can get close to her, where she's completely has her guard down, and her dragon isn't going to go fucking buck wild. If it was anybody else, the motherfucker was dead.
Yeah.
So I like that scene. I also like the fact that Daenerys, although she touched the throne, she didn't actually sit on the throne. And then Jon comes in. I liked that Jon. First off, the relationship between Dany and Jon, I didn't buy because
it wasn't earned because they had to force it for speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like at no point have I felt the emotional weight of those two together. Jaime and Brienne, you feel that.
Well, they had almost 2 seasons to get there.
But
them fucking was still stupid
even
as fuck.
Sansa and not Tyrion, the other the what's his face runs in and dies with the spear.
Theon.
Theon. I bought that relationship.
Well, that had 5 seasons.
That had a lot of seasons. There are so many relationships that I got on board with where when Jon Snow and Ygritte, remember that bitch from back in the day?
Yes.
I felt that relationship. So when she died,
yes,
you could feel the weight. I didn't.
Well, there was no time.
I didn't.
It was 6 episodes.
And the worst thing about it is, it's supposed to be the most important relationship out of all relationships.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a headbutt because they're supposed to love each other.
Now,
it was.
That being said, Emilia Clarke fucking smashed that scene about as much as you could ask anyone.
Oh, she acted. Yeah.
And that's the story of episode or season 8 and even season 7 is that for all the terrible fucking writing that existed, the actors by and large fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't ask for Emilia to portray the inner turmoil of Daenerys better. It just wasn't earned. That's why it felt weird. It wasn't that she acted it poorly. She fucking nailed it. She has an amazing. I mean, everyone laughs about her eyebrow use and everything, but she shows an incredible range.
She does use her eyebrows a lot
of emotion on her face that lent itself to trying to, even though they didn't earn it. When that scene happens, she did that scene justice, despite the fact that the writing was goddamn terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no earn, and that was the whole. But that's the theme of season 7 and 8. Is that a lot of people don't have issue with the plot points. I mean, some plot points.
Yeah.
But it was more time. That none of the plot points had time to mature to earn any of the ending or the resolutions of those plot points. And that's just from being rushed.
I also think that at the end of season 7, that's when the Night King should have been killed. And then the whole next season, this season, should have been about the battle at King's Landing.
I still think there should have been 2 seasons. I think one of the seasons, at minimum, should have been the build-up of seeing Daenerys' character slip into madness,
go to the dark
an entire season.
Yep.
And then I think an entire season could have been the last 2 episodes of this season of the rebuilding of Westeros afterwards.
I agree.
To that conclusion.
100%.
I think that's the 2 seasons and how it would have played out best, in my opinion, in terms of getting the most value out of the plot points that the show had. Would have given more credence to the relationship between Jon and Daenerys. Maybe choose some different plot points because things like Jon's being related to her and his lineage and everything else, the way that they wrote out the end of the show made all of that completely useless.
Yeah, it's useless.
It meant nothing.
I know.
And it was the biggest build up and it
was like the Night King. It was like the biggest plot points in all of Game of Thrones since the beginning.
Axed.
All of them died.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, there was no
all the side
characters,
most of the side characters got resolutions.
Yes.
But all the main ones it was like, what was it for?
Well, and it was because it's made for longer
Fuck
showtime,
me,
right?
man.
So
Fuck
they just had
me.
to
All right,
castrate it.
what other bullshit we had?
We got to the point where you're at here. So we get to the end of the show. There's a couple.
Dude, jump cut.
Getting ahead.
After Daenerys goes, and the dragon burns down the Iron Throne,
Yes,
right? Has a little emo thing, burns it
away
because
with
it's like,
Daenerys.
the Iron Throne caused all this,
Yeah,
and then he scoops up Daenerys,
flies off
into the sunset.
Wherever the fuck.
Then screen goes black.
Yeah.
The screen comes back, and a lot of time, a couple months or whatever has passed, right? Or a bunch of weeks,
Three weeks or 4 weeks,
have
something
passed,
like that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
John's still in prison. So what happened? Did John kill Daenerys, walk down from the Iron Throne or the melted pot, tell Grey Worm, yo, I killed Daenerys, arrest me? Why couldn't he just go, you know what? She got on the dragon. She fucking pissed off somewhere. He could have said and came up with about a bajillion things, but yet we didn't even get to see the reaction of what Grey Worm, and why wouldn't Grey Worm at that point
just fight John?
Fucking fight him. Just be like,
Grey Worm's been looking for a reason.
Dude, they were setting it up.
Yes.
I was like, these guys are gonna throw down this episode, bro. Someone's dying. He kills the goddamn queen, turns himself in, and we don't even get to see an inkling of a reaction.
No reaction.
And there's nobody that is commanding, and we're seeing the Dothraki and the Unsullied. They love Dany. These guys are warriors. She is mad now. She's the mad queen. Everybody's cheering for her. She's like, we're going to conquer the fucking world. Not even just the Seven Kingdoms. The whole world's going to know. And they're all like, yes, motherfucker.
Well, I think they also forget the Dothraki will take up king or queen as to whoever dethrones the current one.
That too.
So why the Dothraki were suddenly like, fuck Jon Snow.
Dude, everybody, it just doesn't make any sense. What did Jon, we didn't get to see any of that. It just goes right into Tyrion walking, and then here they are.
Time for the round table. And here we are. So,
fuck me.
Can somebody tell me why in the fuck they made them, almost everyone there, take turns at telling some of the worst fucking jokes in the world, like it was a shitty stand-up comedian fest, where somebody would stand up and tell a bad fucking cringe joke, and then somebody else was telling a cringe joke, and then Sam gets up and makes a fourth wall breaking, let's poke fun at democracy joke.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
And then fucking Davos, when they're talking about, what the Unsullied are going to do, Davos says, and I still don't know if he was being serious, and the writers just somehow forgot about it, but I have to believe they're intelligent enough for this. Davos says, go take these farmlands, create your own banner, create your own
They can't
clan.
have kids.
They can't have kids. They don't have dicks. That's one generation. And so I don't know what the fuck I don't know if that was a joke or if it was or what that was about. Anyway, it happened. That was fucking weird. And then came where am I here? And then came we'll finish this first. So then they decide. Tyrion gives this wonderful long-winded speech after Grey Worm says, shut the fuck up. And then Tyrion says, nope, I'm going to talk anyway. And it gives this big long-winded speech and says, we need to choose a king. Okay. And then Sansa's uncle stands up, makes a fool of himself.
Yeah.
And then Sansa's like,
that was cute.
Shut the fuck up.
That was
sit
cute.
down.
He was like a politician, trying to
I
win over the crowd.
It was kind of like he shot a shot.
He shot a shot.
He shot a shot. He took it.
Yeah, and they said sit down.
He said sit down, and Sansa said sit down.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, okay, well you're my niece, but fuck, I have to sit down now."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was fine. I thought that was kind of funny. And then Tyrion, goes on about how, a bunch of reasons as to why Bran.
Bran the Broken.
He has the best story. And I thought in my head, and I went, wait a minute. I feel like Jon probably has a far more intricate and interesting story. Motherfucker literally orchestrated
all of it.
And came back from the dead.
And he's the rightful heir.
So he literally came back from the dead, is the rightful heir.
Yeah.
Usurped Daenerys.
Literally, yeah.
warned everyone of the White Walkers, brought Daenerys there to even have that even be a hope of them surviving.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Bran...
Well, I think what it was, the reason why they want to pick Jon is because Grey Worm was angry that he needs to pay for his crimes.
But Grey Worm just left with all the Unsullied. So, and that's my other point.
I know.
Is that Grey Worm leaves, Jon's standing on the fucking pier. Grey Worm and all the Unsullied leave, which we'll talk about where in a second, leave, and then I just think to myself, all right, they're gone. Who is stopping them from just letting Jon stay here?
Turn around now and go rule. They want to come back, kill him. What are they going to do? But at the same time, the Unsullied can't...
But here's part of the problem. The Dothraki apparently not underneath Jon's banner, even though technically speaking, historically speaking, that would be likely what would have happened.
Yeah.
They're off somewhere. Fuck, we don't even know.
We don't know.
No,
we don't know.
Dothraki.
They don't mention them.
The Unsullied are gone.
Yeah.
And so all you have left is the scant few Northerners that also, Sansa's like, little brother, you're going to make a good king, but... we're staying independent.
Yeah.
So what exactly does King's Landing have to defend itself? Daenerys just killed literally fucking everyone.
Yeah.
The two biggest parts of the army, which were already dead but then got resurrected, they're gone again.
Yes.
So the Northerners are going back home. So
unless the Dothraki are somehow
I don't fucking know. The only thing that we know of is that Bran hints that he might warg into the fucking dragon to see where he took Dany at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And then if he brought back Drogon, well, then it doesn't matter. They can bring everyone that they fucking want. But everyone's fucking dead.
Yeah.
The army's dead. So, who's defending King's Landing right now at the end of the day?
No one.
So then maybe they can't have Jon there because if the Dothraki come back, they're fucked. Because apparently not the Dothraki, the Unsullied. Because the Unsullied also multiplied numbers out of fucking nowhere, and they have a way bigger standing army, way more trained than whoever the fuck is left, and they just come in and kill everyone. So I guess it is whatever. However, maybe you just wait 6 months because the Unsullied were like, hey, how about you go to Noth?
Mm-hmm.
Where what's her name? Oh fuck, what was her name? Grey Worm's girlfriend that got beheaded.
Sunday.
I
call her Sunday. I call her Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So, but I feel like again, either the writers are stupid or the Unsullied are stupid, specifically Grey Worm, because we've already know that Noth is home to a particular breed of butterfly that carries a horrible, horrific disease that is deadly to anyone who is not a naturally born Noth.
Yes.
Which means they literally are sending themselves to death.
Yes.
So if they just wait 6 months, the Unsullied are dead.
The war will win anyway. Maybe
Jon's back.
Maybe Bran knows all this. Maybe this is part of the. Maybe this is part of the.
Last point. I think that ain't even Bran, bro.
What do you think it is?
What was the original Three-Eyed Raven's name?
Oh, the older guy?
I think he's just passed himself because they traded places, right? I think he just straight up fucking jacked up Bran's body.
He's the new Three-Eyed Raven dude.
Yes, and
he's the new old Three-Eyed Raven.
But he's the same guy, but using Bran's body, and he orchestrated all of this to get himself into power. And the fucking Night King, who has been trying to stop the Three-Eyed Raven from taking power over everyone, because Three-Eyed Raven doesn't really die.
Mm. Well, so he gets passed on. Right?
He's passed on, but he doesn't really technically die. So he could have absolute power.
Adam, this is
for eternity.
You know what?
And the Night King.
You know what you're doing right now?
Failed.
You know what you're doing right now?
And now Bran.
You're trying to make this story make sense.
Well, you've done this every single episode, so I'm going to do it now.
All right.
Is that Bran, who goes in, doesn't have a Master of Whispers or anyone because he doesn't need one because he knows fucking everything. He has the world's worst fucking hands. He has Tyrion. He has a dude who's a master of coin who doesn't know how interest works. He has a guy who's a master of shipbuilding who just learned how to read from a child 6 months ago. And he has a fucking... his maester is a guy who is so naive he will go along with whatever the fuck you tell him.
Mm.
And that's all he's got underneath of him. And he gets to rule, absolutely. Night King's dead, which means nobody's coming after the Three-Eyed Raven. He gets to pass himself on for as long as he fucking wants. Everyone's on board thinking he's Bran. because Bran is loved. And he just gets to sit back. Because before Bran showed up, dude was 125 years old.
If that's your coping mechanism for a bad show ending, I'm with you, bro.
No, I'm just saying that could possibly be a component of if Martin writes these books before he's dead. That might be the direction it's going, and not just that Bran is Bran himself is. The
I
king.
hope so.
Because we're going from Bran preaching.
Yes, but Bran
Bran preaching that he has want for nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything.
And then all of a sudden his answer to I know you don't want it, and his answer was, well, why did you think I came all this way?
Exactly. Well, I don't want. It's like it's so conflicting because he doesn't want for anything, but yet his whole.
So why wouldn't he be the player?
I don't know.
If you look into Varys' backstory. Varys had a shitload of money. It's always for the realm, but Varys undermined 3 different possible peaceful kings en route to trying to get Aegon on the throne, and then fuck all that shit up to get Daenerys going, and then that went tits up, and so then he tries to get Jon in, that failed, and he's dead. So everyone's playing the game, bro.
Yeah, I don't think that's the theory, but you know what? If it makes you feel better. Sure. I mean, it sounds better in theory, but I don't think that's it. I just think Game of Thrones ended the way Game of Thrones ended. It doesn't make sense because everything was rushed. I did. Now, okay, so now we've gone through a lot of the parts that we both didn't like because I agree with virtually everything you said. I don't know how you can't. I didn't hate the resolution of Arya. She's going to go west of Westeros to see what the world is.
Which was a throwback to what she said a few seasons ago.
So she got to do her thing. I like that. I like that Sansa.
Before you go in first, sorry. There's one of my favorite memes that came out of this episode was her on the pier with everyone saying, "What's west of Westeros? Nobody knows." And then there's like a zoom in on Bran's face going,
Bran knows.
But nobody ever thinks that.
But nobody. It's like why don't you just ask Bran what's on the what's on the west of Westeros? I liked Sansa becoming the Queen of the North. So I thought that was a good resolution for her. She was looking awfully smoking in that episode. I don't know. Maybe it's just the woman with power. I like that. I like the scene where they all chanted, Queen of the North, that she got her crown. She has no man beside her. She's just doing her thing. She deserved it. She went through a lot.
Had a crown that was awfully similar to Cersei's crown.
Yeah, very similar. She has very similar traits to Cersei, too. Yes. But she's not as obviously...
Most of the good traits of Cersei.
Yes, the good ones.
Yeah.
Jon Snow's ending where he kind of goes back to the Night's Watch, which didn't make any sense to me because the wall should have been... There's a big gaping hole where the wall is.
Well, there's a big gaping hole. There's no more White Walkers.
There's no more White Walkers. So what are they keeping watch for?
Tradition. Nothing that mattered anyway because he just went there.
Just said, and then he went with his
Tormund's
boy.
There,
Tormund,
and
he went
said,
back. He said, "I'm going to go with the wildlings. I'm just going to go back and fucking."
Props to them for using the gate, not the giant gaping hole in the wall.
Yeah, sure. And they closed the gate like it means something because about 20 feet that way.
It was an interesting shot because that was like the opening shot of Game of Thrones was the guys leaving the gates, going into the woods, but now there's no threat out there, right? So it was like a bookend. Like there was like the bookends
and then you see all the kids and women and stuff, but you've never really seen them before. You saw them a couple times, but not in that type of amount. Like it was like all of a sudden they opened up a daycare and there was like fucking kids everywhere.
It's the future, Jeff. The future is in their hands.
You know what? It's like, and then when it just wrapped up, I thought that this was the best episode of the season. Now that I think about it, I think it's the second best episode of the season. I think episode 2, honestly, is my favorite episode of the season.
Well, the thing about this episode is that it was the best that it could have been
for where we got
the 5 episodes previous.
Yeah, I would have preferred a lot of things to not happen the way they did, but that's not my call.
You can't avoid it because the first 5 episodes.
That's just the way it went.
Kind of set that up.
So for what they set up, I thought that they stuck the landing for what they set up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was still a rushed mess.
Yes.
disappointing, yes, but also in certain ways, it was a good closure. I love the Brienne scene where she's going through the book of all the knights. I was disappointed that
she might close that book a little quick.
she closed that book, but
It's wet ink.
what?
Want to wait on that one.
Well, with Game of Thrones, maybe 10 minutes had passed before that, and she just closed it because at this point
She
the
could
time
have actually
jumps-
left that shit open.
Yeah,
came
for a
back
week.
3
Could have
months
been
later.
somebody else's hand that closed that book. Like,
That's
why
right.
is this book open? And
Who
closed
knows?
it. We would have never known.
She's a big lady. Could have looked. It could have been a man's hand.
It could have been a man's hand. I thought that scene was one of my favorite scenes in this entire season
Yeah, that was good.
because not only is she a great actress, and she didn't say a word, but you could see so
You got
much
everything going on there.
her face,
Yeah,
right? Trying to hold back tears. She goes over to Jamie's page, and it's small. And they talked about this previously, where
Dude, that
everybody,
was like season 4.
yeah, a bunch of, it might have been even 3.
Where Jamie and her are standing in the room, and he's explaining what that book is.
Yes, and
who writes in it.
everybody's got long write-ups, and
Jamie
his
said
is
there's
like,
still his word. Like I think his sentence is like, "There's still room left on mine."
Yes. So she goes in, she's writing out, and she's going through all the great things that he's done.
Yes. Yeah.
But the part that got me, bro, and I almost got choked up.
Yeah.
At the very end,
Protected his
she
queen.
put protected his queen, and I said, because it wasn't.
But who was the queen?
Well, no,
Her
well, no.
or Cersei?
No, I believe that it was Cersei. But what made it emotional for me is the fact that she did that for him.
Right.
Because she loved Jamie.
Yeah.
But
To just lie a
but
little.
Jamie was so loyal to Cersei as
Yeah.
well and in love with her that he did go to die with her. And she had enough honor and
God
and
damn
love for her.
it! Did that sex scene have to happen?
No,
this
it
scene
didn't.
would have been so much
it didn't.
better for
but
me.
I loved what she did there.
Yes.
You could see the pain in her face of her doing that. And then what I wanted to see after that, I wish that I would have seen after that, is if she turned the book and there was her page, because she got knighted and she was the only knight. I wish that she would have continued to scroll through,
Right, yeah, and
there would have
seen
been
her.
something for her, that somebody had wrote something in.
Well,
for
nobody.
her.
When she got knighted, nobody knew. She's the only between those people in the room. So
I understand.
She's technically the person that will have to write her own.
I suppose, but it would have been nice because so much time had passed.
Yeah, of course.
That it would have
Yeah,
been nice if there, or at least have her name there.
Yes.
I don't know, but it would have been. I thought that would have been a really, really nice touch. But I love what she did there for Jamie. I thought that scene was amazing.
Yeah, it was well done.
And it was a nice send off for her character.
Yes.
And it was another nice nod to Jamie as well, and the stuff that he did, not only for her, but how he did remain loyal to his queen and his sister, his lover. I just thought it was a beautifully. I thought that scene was beautifully done.
Can we talk about how beautiful the scene was where we got to watch Tyrion rearrange chairs for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, and that I found that weird because why would you make it so that you can take a minute and a half, 2 minutes of an episode for Tyrion to move around chairs?
They'd have to write something, Jeff. Words would have to be used.
But we couldn't.
Instead, it was we have to look at this as if the man who has had years of training as a king's hand in some of the most turbulent times in Westerosian history is suddenly nervous about being the hand of the king for Bran.
Yeah.
And so he's fidgeting. It's the chairs have to be perfect,
it's
and I
just-
have to be sitting in my chair. And you can see like he tries to like position himself, like lean just the right way and everything. And then all the boys come in, like the fucking Brady Bunch come in and fuck everything up, and then we get that awkward scene where they're like a couple months have passed by, and they're cracking jokes about how there's no brothels.
Yeah.
And shit, and you're like what? And then they give like the whole like Bran comes in, they give the whole send off of the king, and it's a botched like mess or whatever, and they're like, we're gonna that'll get better. So is this the first time in like a month or 2 months or however many months have gone by that they've actually ever met with Bran? Like, has Bran just never showed up at any point in time, or like is this the first time ever? There's so much.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What would have been cool too is if they made his wheelchair the Iron Throne, so that it looked It looked not like identical, but it there was like some sort of significance to it.
Did you notice that Brienne's armor had a raven on it? The sigil.
I didn't notice that. No.
I only saw that in a video that was talking about like some things that you might have missed or whatever. And her breastplate has the raven on it.
That's cool
for Brienne's sigil.
That's cool.
Which was kind of a nice and an interesting touch or whatever. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, Podrick. Yeah, Podrick was a Kingsguard too.
Yeah, Podrick, of course.
That was cool when I saw him come in. It is what it is. I'm still gonna keep it at a 6, because I thought that they stuck the landing for what they were setting up. Doesn't mean it was perfect by any means, and I was totally fine with Danny dying early on and then the rest of the show being talking and whatever, because people are like, oh, it's boring when you just talk. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's what Game of Thrones is. I need more talking and less of whatever we've been getting.
Were basically leading up to that.
I need.
You'd be lucky to get an action scene once a season.
Yeah. But then when you got the action, it was so heavy. It was like the build-up, it was like a whole season, and then the last episode, it was like a culmination of all that. All the stories, all the relationships,
Dude, I was streaming the other day, and I brought up one of my favorite scenes, which I talked about on the podcast a couple weeks ago, when I went back to watch it to remind myself how fucking good this shit was, where it was Varys and Littlefinger in the throne room. They had 2 talks in the throne room. One was the Chaos is a Ladder speech, which is a good one, but it's not my favorite scene. The one I'm talking about, is the one where they basically trade verbal blows with each other back and forth, and it's like 5 minutes, and it's really like, it's like the jabs and shit.
Yeah, bro.
And they're just talking like in this normal tone, and it's a little back and forth, and Varys gets the last word in at the end, and everything is read between the lines, and the writing is so good, and the delivery is so fucking good, and I just went back to watch that because I wanted to remind myself about just how good that shit was. Because fuck,
it was great.
It was really good.
And
then you'd get like there was that one action scene for the whole season, and it was great because it there was so much build up to that action scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we hit seasons basically 6, 7, and 8, it was just like, all right, we're not great writers, so we're gonna make up for that by just having action every second episode to carry us from beginning to end. And that's kind of what you ended up with. But
disappointing end, but I'm happy the show is over. I'm happy and sad. We're going to get the prequels. So, I mean, I'm sure those shows will be big. I'm sure I'll watch them. But I'd be lying. Oh, and there's people out there that think there's going to be a sequel. But I'll tell you right now, there won't be. There won't be. They're like, oh, well, they set it up for a sequel. Arya went to the west of Westeros and Jon Snow is... No, those characters, they're done. Those actors and actresses, they're done. That's it. That's the show.
And now that I think about it, I can't remember. I was watching a piece on it, but in the books, the map for Game of Thrones, of the world map, is actually pretty substantial. I can't remember off the top of my head if there is anything west of Westeros on the map. I know that there's like an entire area with a huge amount of lore for the south.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a place east of Essos.
Yeah.
But I mean, the map is way fucking bigger than they mentioned in the show. So I can't remember.
So the only thing that I could think that could possibly happen where we see these characters again, all right, this is the only way, is they do all the prequels. They're a great success.
Yes.
And they need more Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And they're doing up to 5 prequels, but they've greenlit 3 of them, or 3 different stories or whatever.
Yeah.
That once they're done those, and this is probably going to take another 10 years, 15 years. If at some point, if the Game of Thrones is still a huge IP, they may make it so that they they tell a new story. George R.R. just says, go, I'm done. Here's, write me checks, have fun with the property, burn it to the ground, where they can get those actors and actresses to come back, because Sansa, Arya, Jon Snow, all basically Bran, all those guys and gals are relatively young, young actors and actresses. So if they do come back in 15 years, 10, 15 years, there could be stories to tell there, even if they pull a Star Wars and they're introducing new characters, and then they have these older characters that come in to sort of pass the torch on, so to speak, be part of it. And then we get we find out what's going on and they could retell a story. But there's no way in fuck that we're seeing any of these characters for a very, very long time, if ever.
They, I think George's next license deal is direct to HBO and doesn't include D&D as like an exclusive thing. So HBO will have more free reign instead of just D&D saying, okay, well, HBO wants 2 more seasons, everyone wants 2 more seasons, but we just really want to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're just going to axe this bad boy.
That's literally what it was, man. I can almost guarantee it.
Imagine getting a blank fucking check to do 2 more seasons.
HBO was like,
of the
please.
greatest television show like of all fucking
They
time.
said no.
And you go,
I like Star Wars.
nah, I want to ruin my reputation first and then go to Star Wars.
Because Disney was like, how much, right? How much?
Because at that point, they were still basically on the
they were
backs
winning.
of
Martin's
writing.
They were winning, bro.
And Disney was
was like,
watching
dude,
7
Star
and 8
Wars
going,
needs fixing. Game of Thrones, let's get the writers. Let's give them a deal that they cannot refuse. So the writers are like, yeah, you know what? Let's make season 7 short. We'll make season 8 6 episodes.
Get right into it.
Fuck, HBO's like, please, here's a check.
You gotta believe somebody at Disney's watching these couple of last seasons going,
fuck, we should have
immediately regret this decision.
We should have let Ryan Johnson do his thing first. Brought these fuckers on afterwards.
Fuck that up. Fuck that right up.
Because the press right now, I mean, we've got the petitions that are going on. Sansa comes out, or the actress that plays Sansa, she comes out, Sophia Turner. Yeah. She comes out and says, you guys are ridiculous. And it is kind of ridiculous, that there's petitions of people who are like, we want it being remade. There is a 0 chance. It doesn't matter if the fucking entire world signed that petition. You just don't do that. It's just not going to happen ever. It's just no. Yeah. Get over it. The show didn't stick the landing for the vast majority of people, including myself. And that's just it. I can live with it. I thought they stuck what the bullshit they led up to some degree, but in terms of the whole thing,
that ain't it, bro. No, I don't think so.
That ain't it, bro. They did not Breaking Bad me in any way. They didn't stick that one. They just ripped the dream.
Well, it's done.
It's over.
And now George has come out and said he should be done the book, The Winds of Winter, I think is the one that he was working on, by 2020.
All right.
Which makes sense, because I think, like I said before, what is George's incentive to do this if the show is running? I still don't even know if I believe him, because what's his incentive of writing an ending if people already are aware of the ending, unless the ending is so dramatically different?
He said it wasn't, though. He said how they get to the end
is different.
Yeah. And different characters will play different roles. Yeah. But other than that,
people are still going to buy the books like crazy. So he's
they're going to buy it and pray that it's better than what they got, so that they can just
won't have to pray very hard.
No. So it will be better.
It will be better. Yeah. So that's coming up. So people will have that to look forward to. Some people were wondering if at the end of the episode they were going to make an announcement that he actually had the book done and like announce a release date. No, but
this is George R. R. Martin we're talking about.
2020, and that's if he survives to 2020. Jeff, hit him up with a bunch of pre-sale stuff. Tell him about liking stuff. I'm going to go use the restroom before we get into tech sport.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are watching this live right now and there's 230 of you, hit that like button. It goes a long way. If you guys cannot watch the full podcast, we do have a secondary channel called Technical Alpha Patch Notes. There we go. Which is just youtube.com/lagtv2. Link is in the description of this video. If you're watching it on YouTube or live, you can go subscribe there, hit the notification bell. If you guys are really enjoying the podcast, you really want to help out myself and Adam financially, well, there's 2 ways you can do it. Either one, via Super Chat live here, where we'll answer your questions, or you can go to patreon.com/lagtv and pledge. You can do that. Also, my wife has been a saint and packed all of the physical merch. It's all done. We're putting on the labels tonight. Kayla actually already filled out all the labels. Adam brought a few more over because we needed a couple more. So they're all going to be put on. And next week, things are going to be shipped out. So, and we're talking every single person. We've got them all packaged. We put in every piece of merch that we have, posters, pins, stickers. All that is all in these tubes. and everything will be starting to get shipped out next week. So depending on where you're at in the world, and if you've pledged $100 or more to the podcast from its inception, you will receive some merch. And it doesn't mean you need to do $100 at once, collectively. So if you have done $10 for 10 months, you're at $100. Make sure that you message us on Patreon with your full address, your name, phone number, and if you haven't already, and we will package that up, or my wife will package that up, and we'll send it out to you. So that's all done, and expect to see all the merch coming out to you. I know we've been saying that for a while, but it's done. It's literally upstairs, packaged, ready to go.
The time is now.
The time has finally come.
The time has come. All right. Well done. Well done. I think I've drank about 3 liters of liquid between leaving the house and coming here, and I could not possibly have gone any longer.
Happens.
Mr. Black, can you have the sound of tech support?
Tech support.
Shady asks, from working with others in a typical job to becoming a streamer and having less people contact, how has this affected you, if at all?
I mean, I don't think it's really affected me all that much, because I still interact with people on the stream all the time, although it's not like face-to-face stuff. I do see Adam once a week, and I do go out of the house once in a while, go see a movie, so like I'm around people. I will say this, because I've been doing this for so long and I've isolated myself so much, I do prefer to be a hermit. I do prefer to be home. I do like to go out, but it's not something that I crave to do. You know, it has to be like an event, or I just need to get out the house for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So like before all of this, I was the guy that loved to go downtown, that loved to go out for dinner, to restaurants and socialize. Now I just prefer to be at home because I've just gotten used to it. Not that I have anxiety about going out or anything. It's just, it's molded me into that type of person. I could literally be in the house for 5 days straight, not leave the house for 5 days, and it's not like out of the norm. I'll leave the house and I'll be like, whoa, I just left the house for the first time in 5 days.
Yeah.
But it's whatever, right? If that was most people that go out all the time and you're in the house for 5 days at a time, you're gonna like go fucking stir crazy.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the fuck?
Cabin fever,
hard.
Yeah, I was already somebody that enjoyed time by myself anyway. I was an only child, so I was used to that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a huge leap for me to go from the regular working world into an at home, so solitary kind of lifestyle. I mean, it definitely still affected me though. Like I do notice in myself that when I do now go out with people, if I'm going to like dinner, if there's more than just one person, or if it's like a group of people that you actually have to like go out of your way to interact with, they're not just necessarily there for you.
Yeah.
Like let's say you go to a party or something and you actually have to engage somebody.
Be socialized.
If you actually have to socialize, like you have to
Yeah.
actively, because it's not they're there for you. They're there just in
They're
general.
just there. Yeah.
That's become more difficult. It's like you fall out of practice of it. It gets awkward, and trying to remember your own goddamn social cues.
Yeah. That's true.
Is something that I noticed in myself.
That's true.
For sure, that I never had a problem with traditionally. Whereas now I have to almost think about it.
Yeah.
Way more. Before it was just natural.
Yeah. Hey, what's
and now,
up, dude?
Now I have to fucking now I'm
it's
thinking
like,
about it.
Hi, man.
And it's also difficult because when you leave the regular day, regular workaday world, sometimes you end up falling out of the loop of like what's going on in the world, because if you're like me and you just don't give a fuck about news. And then for everyone else working and whatnot, they kind of, most of them live in that world.
Yeah.
And so your worlds are so separate that it's harder to find a common ground to talk about something.
Yeah.
And so even when you do get past that first, introduction point, then it's like, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
Like when you're not talking with another content creator, it becomes much more difficult to try and,
because we're in our own bubble, man.
We're in a fucking bubble.
We're literally in a bubble.
So those are probably the two biggest things for me that I've noticed.
I've noticed that too. Like when Kayla and I went to Dominican last year, and you meet tons of people just at the bar or hanging out by the pool, and you always strike random conversations with people, and it usually goes to how the conversations usually go with me. It's like, hey, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. What do you do? Go through, okay, oh, nice, you're a doctor. Great.
Then you got to figure
then
out
I'm
how
like,
you're gonna...
And then I'm like, okay, I play video games. And then they're like, oh, you can make money doing that? And then usually the conversation is me explaining to them how I got into the business, how I make money, who pays me.
Yeah.
And then after all that's done,
conversation dies.
the conversation dies because I literally cannot relate to almost anything that a normal person, I shouldn't say normal person, but what the typical working 9-to-5 person goes through. Because literally what you said, I don't watch really TV. I certainly don't watch news. I don't give a fuck about like really anything outside of my own bubble. There's not much that I can say. Now, if I go to TwitchCon and I'm talking and I'm meeting with other content,
different situation.
we could just sit there and talk about
all day.
We could talk about Riot bullshit. We could talk about
you just talk about your daily shit.
My daily shit, like the struggles, the and you can relate to what people are saying. Relate to each other. So yeah, that is true. I don't really think about that, but yeah.
So those are the two things, that I notice anyway, for sure. Volkus asks, are you planning on doing anything to mark the 1-year passing of Total Biscuit, which is tomorrow? No.
Say what? What about Total Biscuit?
His 1-year passing is tomorrow.
Oh, jeez. All year already.
Yes, been a year already. I mean,
wow.
I didn't sit down and like plan out anything. I wrote when he passed. I wrote my piece. About it, and it was a sad day. That it was like you were already. I've been mourning Total Biscuit for like 2 years.
Yeah,
because it was something that like that you just kind of it's inevitable. You just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah,
and you're always pulling for the fact that they like pull out the 1% dream.
Boom.
But you end up being in mourning for so long that when it happens, sometimes it's not even like a major shock to the system.
Yeah.
But you're still saddened by it, and that was my experience with it. I said my piece when it happened, and it's not like we were so close to
we weren't close
to John that
I've met him a few times, and we've had some nice conversations, and he's always been a big help to Like TV over the years. It was surprisingly more emotional than I thought it would be for me. And I think a lot of it were I was very sad. Because not only for his passing, but what really killed me was the onslaught that his wife went through after he passed, and all the bad things that people were saying about it.
The Gamergate stuff.
I couldn't. I could like that. I was more. I was more mourning for his wife and that what she's going through, and how people could be so cold, like just so. Anyway. I was very sad. So crazy to think that a year has passed, man. It's time
goes quick, bro.
Going by quick, very quick.
Yeah, I mean that was a really it blew my it surprised me, and it also didn't surprise me at the same time.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that are that are fucked up enough to speak ill of somebody after they're dead and they can't even defend themselves anymore.
Yeah, crazy.
It's one thing. It's one thing to be an asshole when they're alive.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
They at least have the ability to defend themselves. But when they pass, and then within 24 hours, you're basically pissing on their grave. That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was weird. I almost don't want to say this because I don't want to like kickstart any more of this, but something that did stick with me, and I'm only reminded because of the shit show we had here in the last 72 hours, is that I don't think we ever saw a statement from Mike about John.
I mean, I didn't.
I don't think that ever happened. So if it happens now, I would find it doubly as odd. It'd be nice to see. I'll keep eyes out for it. Maybe we'll see it. But there weren't very many people that would have been more intimately involved than those two, because John said himself that the only reason he had a roof over his head was because
Husky.
Was because of Husky.
Yeah.
So that was a weird a weird thing to see. Maybe we'll get something from him this year now that he's actively back on social media. But yeah, it was a crazy situation, dude. Seeing that many people come out, and they still talk about him like that too. It's just crazy to me.
Nuts.
Just absolutely nuts.
Let the man rest in peace.
Just let the man fucking rest. He
worked a lifetime.
Hard working individual.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's a random question. Will Hawkins asks, has an animal ever gotten into your home? I'm guessing one that wasn't supposed to be there.
I don't think so. I mean, at most, I've had a mouse and stuff. Not here, but at my other place, I've seen a mouse or two. But I mean, that's like a rodent. I mean, it's an animal, but I think when they say animal, they probably mean like somebody else's dog or cat or a raccoon or a bird, something like that. I've never had a random animal run up in my place. We don't leave the doors open, like even in the summer. So the opportunity is very nope.
Yeah. We when I was very young, a squirrel got into our chimney and ran down into the house, and it was just covered in soot, and ran out of the bottom and was just darting all over the house and just ash and soot all over the place. And mom and dad trying to chase this thing to catch this damn squirrel that was going batshit, probably scared out of its mind, fell down a chimney, and now it's in the house going,
what the fuck?
And so it was a complete mess. And then in my place where I was before, where I am now, we still don't know how it happened. Natalie and I were still together, and her friend was over at the house. And at some point between her friend coming over and literally opening the door and closing it and nobody noticing, a cat got inside.
Interesting. Just came in.
And nobody noticed. Like, how the fuck it happened? There's only one place for it to get in, and the only time would have been when Natalie's friend came over, and we didn't notice anything. We went upstairs. Her friend was there for like 2 hours. We were having like coffee or whatever, sitting at the table, chatting, and then her friend was like, "Do I hear a cat?" And it was one of those situations where you're like, "No, are you crazy? What are you fucking hearing a cat for right now?" And then we all stopped and got quiet, and we were like kind of low key actually hearing a cat, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I walked downstairs, and sure as shit, there's a goddamn cat just standing there. I was like, what the hell? How did you get in here?
Yeah, get the fuck out.
And so, yeah, it was just one of the cats from one of the neighbors that are out around the street. I've seen the cat before, but we had no idea how the hell it got in. It's stealthy as fuck. And those are the two times in my time that I've ever experienced that.
If you want timestamps, you're gonna have to rely on the person that is in or that puts them on the comment section, which is usually happens pretty quickly.
Pretty quick,
yeah,
pretty quick. 8910 asks, "What's going to be the revolutionary technology that will replace the mobile phone?"
Nothing. It'll be the phone. It'll be more high-tech phones.
Pretty much, it will just be it's any kind of communication device at all. So right now, the main communication device is this. What form factor this ends up taking up as time goes on is anyone's guess. Whether it's augmented reality, contact type shit, with just an earpiece to go along with it, or what, anybody's fucking guess. But it's like communication and dissemination of information are the two main focuses of these devices. So whatever more efficiently gets that job done is what's going to replace this. Mm-hmm. But for the foreseeable future, it's going to be something of this form factor that slides into your pocket that is augmented by peripherals to extend its usage until we come up with some crazy ass shit that, once again, kind of like when Apple did the iPhone and it combined an MP3 player and a phone and a camera and everything at once, we'll get to a point where we'll start tacking more and more into this as time goes on. Cloud asks, if you had to choose between your entire video game collection, physical, not digital, or your Mercedes, which one would you keep?
Oh, my car. It gives me way more pleasure. I mean, this is great to look at. I play. Honestly, I don't play really any of these games. It's more of a collecting hobby thing. I drive my car all the time, so I got to go with the. If you're telling me to choose between the two, I got to go with my car.
Let's see. Duke asks, were you ever close to moving from Halifax to another city? Would you prefer to live in a large city or a small town?
I wouldn't say I was ever close, but it was definitely something I considered. Honestly, the only reason why I am in Halifax is because of my wife. That's it. If Kayla and I were not dating when I'd start this career, or if we broke up for whatever reason, I would have moved. Like, say if Kayla and I broke up in 2015, 2014, whatever, I would have moved. I would have been like, okay, there's nothing for me here. I'm gonna go and follow my career. I'm gonna travel. You know, I'm gonna go have some fun, and that would be that. I would have moved then for sure. And it's not like Kayla would ever say no, I don't want to move, but I don't want to take. Not only would I miss my family, but I know I could fly in and see them whenever.
Yeah.
So that's not really a big issue.
Expensive, because flying in this country sucks.
Expensive,
but doable.
You know, for me, I see my parents a lot now because I have a kid.
Yeah, of course.
But before Kai was born, I would see my mom and dad like once every 3 months or so.
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
unless my dad helped me with a property or whatever. But back then, I didn't have properties, so it would have been like whatever. I fly home, say definitely during Christmas, and then maybe once during the summer. That would have been enough for me. I'm not the type of guy that needs to be around family all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as I know they're okay, and as long as I know I can get to them, I'm fine. But I didn't want to put Kayla in that position where she has to leave her family as well.
Yeah.
And we have to start like a new life somewhere. The upside just wasn't, it just didn't make enough sense. So, and ultimately I am happy that I'm home, because as shitty as this place is, for career potential and taxes and everything else, it's home. It's a small city. The people here are nice. It's home. It's just the way it is.
The thing about Halifax is the pace of life,
Yeah.
and the options that are available to you for what to do with your life here, not work wise, but just in general, outweigh
Yes.
the shit.
Yes.
Which is why everyone comes back here.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Some of them will get away to make their money and come back, but ultimately everyone comes back.
Yep.
For a reason.
Yep.
Right. I came close a couple of times, and YouTube is probably the only reason I'm still here, other than wanting to stick around because for a long time, and she's still alive, I didn't want to leave before my grandmother passed away.
Yeah.
And she's still here. So swing and a miss on that one.
Hard swing and a miss.
But in fairness, she's basically been on the brink for many years now, so it was kind of a gamble. But when you and I did the YouTube thing and it took off, then it was just like, well, shit. Because my options at the time were take a job offer with Loblaws to go to Toronto and do their management trainee program, and then take a position from there, which would have been, I think, a year and a bit with them in Toronto, and then either get placed in Toronto or get placed somewhere else for, I think it was another 6 months, and then it was like a choose your own location if it becomes available type situation, or do corporate for them in Toronto. But that happened at the exact same time that Live TV took off, and the pay difference was so huge that I couldn't ignore that money.
Yeah.
And it fulfilled my want of making money but still being close to my grandmother.
Yeah.
And so stuck it out for that. The other time was the next closest time was when Natalie and I separated, and I was considering taking that opportunity to reuse my degree. This is long before the podcast was ever a thing and everything else. To do that, considered Toronto and Vancouver again, because I have friends in Toronto and friends in Vancouver, and just go back to being a pencil pusher. And then at the same time, I also considered going over to teach English in Korea for a couple years just to do it.
That'd be dope.
So those were the two periods of my life where that was the thing. I have a third opportunity now, but it doesn't make sense because housing is so expensive everywhere, and I have a possible opportunity to hold on to my parents' property at some point, or at the very least make use of it. And so I'd be basically putting myself in debt for no reason to avoid that for the time being. And if I go somewhere else, I don't know what I'd even be doing. I'd go to Toronto, I'd go to Vancouver, I'd get a job, but again, the trade-off is just
it's
fucking terrible.
Yeah.
The amount of money spent on rent.
Well, and it's different. If you were 23, 25, again, it might make a little bit more sense.
Make more sense.
But when you're 30,
when you're 30,
it starts to be. It's like if you're moving to Toronto, you're moving to Toronto now.
Exactly.
Like there's no. If you're going to start a career there, it's pretty much commitment now.
That's
you go
the
when
show.
you're 25 and you're like, I'll do it for 3-5 years. If it works out, it doesn't. Or if I hate it, I'll just come back home.
That's a commitment now.
Yeah, now it's a commitment. But
so that was,
and I wouldn't even honestly, if Kayla I don't know what the future holds. Like I don't know what the future holds. There might come a time where I go, you know what? Let's move somewhere for a year, and that's very easy for me to do because with my career, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm still streaming,
go pretty much anywhere,
still do a podcast, still do a whatever, still make it work. I could move to Toronto or to Vancouver for a year just to do something different, have a different thing, feel like I'm having an adventure, and then come back home whenever, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really, my home will be waiting for me. It's not like, have to get up and go. It's not like I have to go buy a house somewhere. I could rent a place for a year, stay there, have some fun. Maybe it's a big job opportunity for myself. An opportunity presents itself. It's like, all right, I'll go do it for a year. Who knows?
That's just it. Opportunity, I think, has to come knocking.
Yes, it's not just to do it to do it.
It's not just do it to do it because we're not young enough for that anymore. Now it has to be an opportunity.
Yeah.
And, I could technically, if I wanted to, just go still teach English in Korea. I have a degree. That's all I need. I can apply for it and go do it. But it's just not something that I'm as interested in now as I was years ago doing, because if I do that for a couple of years, well, now I'm 32, 33, and then I'm still have to start something back here unless I plan on being
staying out there
permanently, or coming back and being a teacher here, which would still require me to get my BED, which is a consideration that I'm taking right now. But even BED is 2 years, so.
That's not terrible. Like 2 years, not like awful.
It's not terrible. I just want to know that I really fucking want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do 2 years to be 32 and then go to be a teacher, I better really fucking want that shit because I'm locking myself in. Right?
Yeah. You do that. That's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show.
So who knows? But what I know at this point is that the odds of me living anywhere else very slim. The odds of me busting my ass to be able to do a little bit more travel here and there, much higher. Because I think personally for me, one, I don't like big cities, period. I can take them for short stints of time, but I don't like them. I don't tend to like a lot of the people in them. I don't like the pace of life.
I hear you.
I don't like getting around the cities, whether it's by subway or otherwise. I don't see much appeal in them. I'm not somebody that needs to spend a couple $100 to go see a professional sporting event or a concert. I just don't give a fuck. So there's nothing in a major city that's really that.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm not there for career-wise, it's like, and even then, that much of a grip. For me, it would be go to a bigger city, younger people. If I was interested in like going trying to find a friggin' wife or some shit,
socialize and
whatever, where there might be better nightlife. But Halifax doesn't even have that bad a nightlife.
No,
we have bars coming out the fucking wazoo, and for at least 9 months out of the year, there are a bunch of people between the age of 20 and 30 here for university.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like it's that difficult. So Halifax is a lot of upshot for some downsides for sure. The secret is here, if you get a job that pays relatively well, and right now if you can get a family doctor, those are the two things.
Oh, you're ahead in Canada.
Then this is it's hard to pass this up.
Yeah. The only other better place would be like Calgary because the tax are so minuscule.
Calgary, and then if you were bilingual,
Montreal,
Ottawa.
Oh, Ottawa. Yeah. I actually, two of my good friends. you know who.
Yes.
He's got his own law firm out there.
Yes.
And another dude, it's like an engineer or something that he got a job out in Ottawa. And the cost of living there is like
cost
really,
of living
is
is
like really good. Yeah.
The pay there is higher than anywhere else in the country on average. In terms of annual household income,
Yeah.
it's much higher than other places, even Calgary. And a lot of that's because it's a lot of government work.
Yeah.
But you need to be bilingual for a lot of that government work. And if you don't have government work there, then you need to have a job before you go there, because it's going to be even harder to find work.
Almost
there
every
than
job out there is government
work.
job.
Yeah, so that's just something to be mindful of. But otherwise, again, super low crime rate, lots of outdoor activity stuff to do. You fucking great housing market, everything that it's great.
Yep.
It's just speak French.
Oh.
I think that's the last.
Is that it?
I think that's the last comment that I've got there.
All right.
So I guess that's the show, ladies
That's
and
the
gentlemen.
show.
Thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by and giving us your attention for this Technical Alpha podcast. We'll be back next week.
Same time. Same place.
Time, same place. Keep an ear to the ground for that. Head on over to patreon.com/lagtv if you'd like to help support us and join the community. If you've got maybe some StarCraft games, if you're interested in that as well, that's the way to get her done.
Also, June 1st, we're having our first charity event.
Yes,
which
June 1st,
is
next Friday.
happening next Saturday.
Is Saturday the 1st?
It is.
Oh, I thought it was Friday.
No. Saturday.
Oh, there you go. I
Saturday.
got ahead of myself.
All right.
Saturday.
So next Saturday, so next Thursday, we'll be talking more about that. Hopefully you guys will tune in, show some love. But either way, we'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much. And until we do, peace.